create a link for just practice. Oh, sorry.
Hi, I'm Leo. Want to know more about me? Chat with me on Instagram, Facebook, WhatsApp, Apple Messages, and Google Business Chat. Search for UBA Chat Banking and always look out for the verified tick.
For trades that will last, you need the right structure. For a business that will work, you need the right support. We know you want your craft to be around for generations, and we see all you are doing to make sure of this. We know you want to expand your business and would not mind a little help. We have created unique solutions for you. From everyday banking needs that save you time to funding your business dreams. You know your business and we support your needs. Let us help you build for tomorrow. Open an SME account today.
It's been 75 years of building a legacy and rewarding you. This time, it's bigger. Save small and win a share of 200 million naira. The UBA Legacy promo is here to make it happen. Save 5,000 naira and watch the money rain. 75 customers will win 1 million naira. 75 customers 500,000 naira. 75 customers 250,000 naira. 75 customers 100,000 naira. And lots more. It's a win-win. Dial *919*20# to open a savings, bumper, next gen or kiddies and teens account and start saving to qualify. Terms and conditions apply. UBA, Africa's global bank.
Hi, I'm Leo. Want to know more about me? Chat with me on Instagram, Facebook, WhatsApp, Apple Messages, and Google Business Chat. Search for UBA Chat Banking and always look out for the verified tick.
For trades that will last, you need the right structure. For a business that will work, you need the right support. We know you want your craft to be around for generations, and we see all you are doing to make sure of this. We know you want to expand your business and would not mind a little help. We have created unique solutions for you. From everyday banking needs that save you time to funding your business dreams. You know your business and we support your needs. Let us help you build for tomorrow. Open an SME account today.
It's been 75 years of building a legacy and rewarding you. This time, it's bigger. Save small and win a share of 200 million naira. The UBA Legacy promo is here to make it happen. Save 5,000 naira and watch the money rain. 75 customers will win 1 million naira. 75 customers 500,000 naira. 75 customers 250,000 naira. 75 customers 100,000 naira. And lots more. It's a win-win. Dial *919*20# to open a savings, bumper, next gen or kiddies and teens account and start saving to qualify. Terms and conditions apply. UBA, Africa's global bank.
Recording in progress.
Hi, I'm Leo. Want to know more about me? Chat with me on Instagram, Facebook, WhatsApp, Apple Messages, and Google Business Chat. Search for UBA Chat Banking and always look out for the verified tick.
For trades that will last, you need the right structure. For a business that will work, you need the right support. We know you want your craft to be around for generations, and we see all you are doing to make sure of this. We know you want to expand your business and would not mind a little help. We have created unique solutions for you. From everyday banking needs that save you time to funding your business dreams. You know your business and we support your needs. Let us help you build for tomorrow. Open an SME account today.
It's been 75 years of building a legacy and rewarding you. This time, it's bigger. Save small and win a share of 200 million naira. The UBA Legacy promo is here to make it happen. Save 5,000 naira and watch the money rain. 75 customers will win 1 million naira. 75 customers 500,000 naira. 75 customers 250,000 naira. 75 customers 100,000 naira. And lots more. It's a win-win. Dial *919*20# to open a savings, bumper, next gen or kiddies and teens account and start saving to qualify. Terms and conditions apply. UBA, Africa's global bank.
Hi, I'm Leo. Want to know more about me? Chat with me on Instagram, Facebook, WhatsApp, Apple Messages, and Google Business Chat. Search for UBA Chat Banking and always look out for the verified tick.
For trades that will last, you need the right structure. For a business that will work, you need the right support. We know you want your craft to be around for generations, and we see all you are doing to make sure of this. We know you want to expand your business and would not mind a little help. We have created unique solutions for you. From everyday banking needs that save you time to funding your business dreams. You know your business and we support your needs. Let us help you build for tomorrow. Open an SME account today.
It's been 75 years of building a legacy and rewarding you. This time, it's bigger. Save small and win a share of 200 million naira. The UBA Legacy promo is here to make it happen. Save 5,000 naira and watch the money rain. 75 customers will win 1 million naira. 75 customers 500,000 naira. 75 customers 250,000 naira. 75 customers 100,000 naira. And lots more. It's a win-win. Dial *919*20# to open a savings, bumper, next gen or kiddies and teens account and start saving to qualify. Terms and conditions apply. UBA, Africa's global bank.
Hi, I'm Leo. Want to know more about me? Chat with me on Instagram, Facebook, WhatsApp, Apple Messages, and Google Business Chat. Search for UBA Chat Banking and always look out for the verified tick.
For trades that will last, you need the right structure. For a business that will work, you need the right support. We know you want your craft to be around for generations, and we see all you are doing to make sure of this. We know you want to expand your business and would not mind a little help. We have created unique solutions for you. From everyday banking needs that save you time to funding your business dreams. You know your business and we support your needs. Let us help you build for tomorrow. Open an SME account today.
It's been 75 years of building a legacy and rewarding you. This time, it's bigger. Save small and win a share of 200 million naira. The UBA Legacy promo is here to make it happen. Save 5,000 naira and watch the money rain. 75 customers will win 1 million naira. 75 customers 500,000 naira. 75 customers 250,000 naira. 75 customers 100,000 naira. And lots more. It's a win-win. Dial *919*20# to open a savings, bumper, next gen or kiddies and teens account and start saving to qualify. Terms and conditions apply. UBA, Africa's global bank.
Hi, I'm Leo. Want to know more about me? Chat with me on Instagram, Facebook, WhatsApp, Apple Messages, and Google Business Chat. Search for UBA Chat Banking and always look out for the verified tick.
For trades that will last, you need the right structure. For a business that will work, you need the right support. We know you want your craft to be around for generations, and we see all you are doing to make sure of this. We know you want to expand your business and would not mind a little help. We have created unique solutions for you. From everyday banking needs that save you time to funding your business dreams. You know your business and we support your needs. Let us help you build for tomorrow. Open an SME account today.
It's been 75 years of building a legacy and rewarding you. This time, it's bigger. Save small and win a share of 200 million naira. The UBA Legacy promo is here to make it happen. Save 5,000 naira and watch the money rain. 75 customers will win 1 million naira. 75 customers 500,000 naira. 75 customers 250,000 naira. 75 customers 100,000 naira. And lots more. It's a win-win. Dial *919*20# to open a savings, bumper, next gen or kiddies and teens account and start saving to qualify. Terms and conditions apply. UBA, Africa's global bank.
Good evening. Sound check. Okay.
Hi, I'm Leo. Want to know more about me? Chat with me on Instagram, Facebook, WhatsApp, Apple Messages, and Google Business Chat. Search for UBA Chat Banking and always look out for the verified tick.
Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. To the viewers, I say good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you're viewing us from. Welcome to the UBA Business Series. I'd like to welcome, firstly, our dear customers in the house, my dear colleagues, obviously the senior management of United Bank for Africa, Mr. Tomiwa Shotiloye, Mr. Asare-Adjei, Prince Ayewo, Alero Ladipo, and ladies and gentlemen of the press, and of course, our special guests and panelists in the house. I say welcome. This is the final edition for the year 2024 of the business series tagged Built to Last. And you might wonder, why are we here? Why is it called Built to Last? UBA for 7 decades has remained committed to supporting businesses, supporting communities, helping businesses grow. So when you think UBA, you're not just thinking a warehouse for your money, you think lifestyle, you think support, you think a friend, you think an organization that is dedicated to building its community, putting Africa on the spotlight. Ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause for UBA. So as you can see, this edition is tagged Profit with Purpose, Business Continuity. That is what UBA stands for, being able to stand the test of time, being able to stand and progress, being able to stand and last. So that is why we are here, and that is why UBA is committed to constantly spreading the word of success and growth to the world. So without further ado, I would like to welcome our keynote speaker for today. She is an award-winning producer, an award-winning director, a superstar, a lawyer. Ladies and gentlemen, please, a round of applause for the beautiful Bolanle, Austen-Peters.
Bolanle Austen-Peters is a prominent lawyer, award-winning film director, and producer whose work has significantly impacted the Nigerian cinema and theater. Her recent film, House of God, has received a major milestone, reaching Netflix's global top 10 list of indigenous language films. She holds the record for the highest grossing biopic in West African cinema with Funmilayo Ransome Kuti. CNN has aptly named her the Queen of Nigerian theater, a testament to her global influence and success. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Bolanle Austen-Peters.
Ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause for her. Thank you.
Thanks very much, and thank you for having me, UBA. And it's an honor to be here, and to my co-panelists, Mr. Edoho and my dear Toke, and Benita, Princess, that I just met today, and the entire UBA family. And thanks to all those who have come out today to listen to this talk. I was asked to speak about built to last, profit with purpose, and business continuity. So I'll start by saying good day to everybody once again. It's an honor to stand before such a dynamic audience today to talk about these points. I'd like to thank UBA, Africa's Global Bank, for this platform to share some sustainable business practices, especially in relation to having businesses in Nigeria. So if we look around Nigeria, if we all take a look around Nigeria and ask ourselves, really, how many businesses do last past 5 years? The mortality rate is very, very high. Very, very high. As a matter of fact, if you look at the so-called industries that are supposed to be the money spinners, like banks, oil companies, a lot of them that we grew up with are not in existence today. There's so many that hit mortality in their first 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, and the list goes on. For various reasons, it's very challenging to start businesses and to run businesses in Nigeria. And I guess the reason why I'm here today is because for 20 years, we have been able to successfully run Terra Culture, BAP Productions, Terra Academy for the Arts, and also we started an international theater festival this year. And I'm sure that the reasons apply to a lot of other companies that have been able to survive over the years. I'll start by telling you a story. You know, when I started Terra, I remember very vividly that a gentleman called Jaman Anikulapo, he was the editor of Arts for Guardian. He sniggered. It was Fola Adiola that took me to him. And he sniggered and was like, yeah, oh, she wants to start an arts center, ha, ha, ha. Today, Jaman is one of my greatest supporters. I've won many awards on their platform. And Jaman tells me, he says, BAP, when you started, we all thought it was another spoiled rich girl's dream of just, oh, I want to do arts, I want to be flighty, and that they all thought I was going to be a flash in the pan, like so many other businesses that have come and gone ahead of me. So the question is, how come have we been able to sustain a business such as this for 20 years? We're in the 21st year. You know, if I were to ask UBA here today, if I'd come to you 21 years ago that you should invest in an arts center, you guys would say no. There is no way you would have supported me. The focus was always on oil and those industries that appear to have a lot of financial turnover. Spaces like the arts and culture were not considered to be commodities that would generate wealth. And for 21 years, we preached this and said Nigeria's greatest wealth is its people and its culture and its arts. It's taken almost 2 decades for Nigerians, financial institutions, as well as the international community to come on board to understand that these are our greatest assets. It took the music of our superstars going abroad and bringing in the dollars back home for us to understand the power that we have in our culture and in our arts. So, how was I able to do this for 21 years? There's so many areas, but I'll focus on some core things. And I think that's what maybe most of those in this audience want to understand, how to make a business last. The first thing, Purpose. When I started, I was clear about what I wanted to achieve, and I said, I am going to put together an organization that is going to be structured like a bank, like a tech company. In short, the framework that every company in this world has, which is you have your legal structure, you have your administrative structure, you have your board. And the reason is this. If you don't have a framework, you might as well be any other talk shop, anything on the side of the street. So it was about purpose. I was clear about it. What was I selling? I was selling something that was very ephemeral. You couldn't touch it. But I set it up as an institution. So from the get-go, people took me seriously. That this woman is not here to just sell rice. After all, what am I selling? If I were to articulate what I was selling 21 years ago, could anybody articulate it for me? Nobody knew what I was selling. My dad thought I was crazy, But in putting together a structure that looked like I was serious, people took me seriously. And that's very important. So I had a legal framework. I had my administrative framework in place. I had staff. I had procedures. But I think the most important thing that I want to focus on is the board. I had a board in place. Who were my board members? The co-founder of GT Bank, Mr. Asare-Adjei, was my chair. Boli Oshibodu, the founder of VGO, was a director. And the list goes on and on. And let me tell you the value of a board. So what happened? When I started, I said, I'm going to be doing this thing. I'm going to have a cafe, etc., etc. And Asare-Adjei called me, God bless his soul, and said, BAP, how are you going to sustain this business? And I said, no, we have a cafe, we have this, we have that. He said, no. I said, there will be a lot of donors supporting us. And he said, no. There will be something called donor fatigue at some point. How are you going to run this business? It took me 3 weeks of brainstorming, asking myself, where am I going to get the money from when the donors dry out and the donations? Then one day, it came from the most unlikely source, my architect. He came and said, BAP, look at this land behind you. Look at this land. Do you know you can convert this into a theater or a hall? That theater became our lifesaver. It became the sustaining arm of Terra culture. That was the first thing. The second thing was the cafe. I wanted to put in this cute cafe. You know how we are? It's going to be very pretty. We just come here and have tea and coffee. And Tayo said, no. Make it a restaurant, a proper restaurant. Those two things, the restaurant and the theater, became the lifeline of Terra culture. Whether we sold art or not, whether we had an exhibition or not, there was cash flow that ran through Terra culture's veins for 21 years, and it has been consistent for those 21 years. I'm saying this to say that when you start a business, interrogate all the different areas that could possibly become your Waterloo. Most people have brilliant ideas, but if your ideas are not sustainable long run, you run into trouble. So for 21 years, I've never had to struggle about paying salaries. I have employed over 100 people monthly for the past 21 years, and I've never struggled to pay salaries. That is because we had the structure that would sustain us through the years. So the board is very critical. Sustainability. The second important thing is your pedigree and your experience. There are certain things in life that put you in a position where you can draw on experience. So I started out as a lawyer. I worked with the United Nations, with the United Nations Center for Human Rights in Geneva, in Namibia, in Ethiopia. What did these things do for me? I developed skill sets that you would not develop if you were sitting in your house. So I learned how to run an office. I was in charge of the sub-office in Ethiopia. There are things called budgets. There are things called budget lines. You can't spend if you don't have a budget. And you can't go outside your budget line for other things without approval. When I came to Nigeria, 1 or 2 businesses that I worked with, they had no structure, They had no budget, and some of them were oil businesses that were turning over millions of dollars. They did not survive because there was no distinction between company funds, personal funds. The owner and the business were all the same. They'll dip into the bank account every weekend and live their jolly lives. Of course, a couple of years down the line, those businesses are no longer in existence. So, the value of the experiences that I gained in the UN, the value that I had gained in running offices prior to starting TerraCulture, the administrative procedures that you have to go through to run an organization, the auditing that you have to go through to ensure that your finance and your accounts are balanced at the end of the day. And most important is the integrity. The integrity, that muscle that you build, that what belongs to the company does not belong to you, is something that very few Nigerians are capable of understanding. You have to draw a line between company and personal. In fact, I remember one day somebody saw me and said, BAP, but you guys are making so much money, then you say you are broke. How are you broke? I'm like, TerraCulture is not Bolanle. Bolanle is different from Terra, but for a lot of Nigerians, they don't know the distinction, and it is a problem. It's a problem that ensures that a lot of businesses go under. Then another thing that I'd like to touch on is leadership. You know, I've been working a lot with MIT as a fellow, and something to talk about is about adaptive leadership. What does that mean? A lot of times, leaders, there's nothing called leaders. You're in a leadership position. If your team do not buy into your vision, if your team do not see where you're headed, you cannot survive as a business. Because the minute you're out of the equation, the business will collapse. So what do? Ownership. Your team has to own your vision with you. So instead of doing top-down, what I do most times is I throw the question to my team. So I want to do this. Give me your ideas. Your ideas is what we're going to use to run this thing. Even if you know where you're going, make sure that you bring them on board to buy into that idea. Otherwise, you'll be on your own. You will think you're a general leading some soldiers, but there's nobody behind you. The minute you're not there, everybody drops the ball. And that is very, very critical. Leadership and ownership, those two things go hand in hand. But I think as a last point, because I understand I have 7 minutes, the most important thing that I'd like to talk about is the reason why we have stayed alive as a company is innovation. Innovation and technology. Those two things have driven TerraCulture from the get-go. And the reason is this. We started out as a cultural center teaching languages. That's how I started out, to teach Nigerian languages to our children. Then we got oversubscribed and I panicked and I'm like, I don't want to own a creche. I don't want to be teaching children. Guys, shut this thing down. That is a business for some of you that you can do. That's a business that needs to be owned by someone in Nigeria. All the expatriates, all the mothers, everybody will dump their kids to come and learn Yoruba, Igbo, and Hausa, because a lot of us are tribalizing our children, right? So I'm like, this can't work. Then I focused on art. Started selling art. Then moved to art auctions when we realized that exhibitions were no longer doing it for us. Then I pivoted. I went into theater, like some of you know. We started doing theater, and what we did with theater was pretty revolutionary. So theater had died, and I gave my space free for people to come and act and perform. And then as they started growing as a group, I stepped into the place and I said, I think there's something I can bring into this space. And I understood that Nigerians like musicals. So I said, okay, you know what we're going to bring in? We're going to bring music into theater. It changed theater forever. It changed Nigerian theater forever. The second thing I did was I said, after we showed our first musical, Saru the Musical, and the setting up of a house, you know those set structures that they put on, was what caused us to fail. Because the builder was building and said he had to build this house on a stage. So the actors didn't have time to rehearse, and they opened to the audience. I said, this will never, ever happen again. I changed from physical set to technology. It has caught up like wildfire all over the theater industry in Nigeria. Nobody builds sets anymore. You use your technology, you project the location, and that was it. Today, we have a completely different story, to the extent that we started a theater festival just last week. We had over 25 participating companies from Nigeria and from abroad coming to the theater festival. This was something that would never have happened in Nigeria 10 years ago, 5 years ago, or even 15 years ago. It's testament to the fact that if you see a gap, you can fill it up by thinking through it and asking yourselves, what is missing and what can I bring in to improve this space? And that is exactly what we did with theater, innovation. Then from there, we moved to movies. And some of you know my movies already, from House of God to Bling Lagosians to Fumilayo and Samkuti, Man of God, etc., etc. I'm a lawyer. I trained myself to be a director. I trained myself to be a producer. You can do anything. It's really mind over matter. I was talking to Toke earlier. I said, Toke, you know, we all really can do anything. It's all about mind over matter. Focus. Most times we get distracted. Somebody is doing this, you do that. Somebody is doing this, you do that. I said to my team, we're staying in theater and we're staying in movies. I don't get distracted. If you tell me somebody is doing oil and they tell me, I'll never do it. It's not my business. Whatever you're turning over there is really not for me to do. This is my own passion and this is my space. Finally, excellence. Excellence. That spirit of excellence and perfectionism, a lot of us lack it in Nigeria. We feel people should consume anything because we can't be bothered to fix it. I don't subscribe to that at all. Anything that I will not like, I don't give it to the public to consume. Anything that I will not be able to sell to somebody outside of Nigeria, I don't provide it for Nigerians. It's a global village. This thing of saying, oh, it's for Nigerians, so it's okay, it's not okay. If somebody in America will sit and say this is not good enough, I have no business producing it. So excellence has been our watchword from day one. Anything that is not good enough, fix it. Don't show people, don't take it out, don't talk about it. And that excellent spirit is what all of us need to invite, even as a people in Nigeria. It's very lacking. We're used to mediocrity. We've accepted mediocrity as the norm. And it's something that has to change in our DNA as a people. We cannot continue to be average. Average does not cut it. And those are the things that have allowed us over the years, to be featured. There's no platform from CNN to BBC to Al Jazeera that we haven't been featured on. We're going to South Africa in February, invited by the South African State Theatre, because they see the excellence of our content. This is the second time they pay for us to come and show our theatre. This thing used to happen. We've been to Dubai, Egypt, London with Nigerian stage plays. We've gotten to the top of movies. The American State Department recently invited us to come over to Nigerian filmmakers to come and see what they're doing there so that we can also share knowledge and experience what we can do better here, paid for by the Americans. This is to show you that people watch. People are looking. People know who is working. People know who is doing things at the right level. So when you think you can fake it, it's not true. People can see through you. So for me, the ability to stay in business has been probably these 5 pillars. The first one being purpose. The second one being knowing who you are, what you're bringing to the table, and your experiences, bringing it to bear on what you're doing. The third one is your leadership skills. What are you teaching people, and how are you bringing your team on board to support you so that when you're not there, they can carry on with the vision? The fourth is innovation. How are you innovating as a company? What are you doing? Are you just saying, oh, you know, things are not happening here anymore, so therefore my business will die? You can pivot and innovate, and you can look at the world, because anything you're doing now without technology will not last and will not stand the test of time. And finally, is excellence. Excellence, excellence. When people talk about you, they should remember only one thing about you. When people talk about me, I'm not there, but I hear all they say is, she's good. She's good. She's really good at what she does. And for me, that's the biggest. It's not about the money. It's about what you represent as a brand. My brand stands for excellence. And that is the most important thing you want to sell as a person. The money will come after. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you. Warren, could you give us a few minutes? So thank you very, very much. Very inspiring. The points that you made, I could go on and on, but I know that you have a limited time with us. And I wanted to just give the audience, because we do have people from all over Africa watching, and we do have people in the room here. So I just thought a few questions would be nice before you leave. So are there any questions for Bolanle in the room, please? Okay, we have one. Sorry? Okay, two. I'm just going to take three. 1, 2, 3. And please let me know if we have questions online as well. So the gentleman in the cap is number 1. And then can we take all 3 and then you just, okay. So can he have a microphone?
All right, thank you so much. Thank you for the presentation. I mean, that was very great. So my question is this, you know, when you said when you wanted to start, you put structures in place, and those structures were so important to you. My question now is, you know, you have people like those GT, those big. Imagine you want to start up a business and you want to have such structure, and you don't have those kind of, great profiles. To help you, help you see things that you can't see. What are the things you can put in place if you are starting so small? Because based on what you say, you are not starting small because of those big profiles.
I love it. Thank you. Good point.
Okay.
Okay. So Bolanle, thank you so much for everything that you said. It's I'm sure something that will go very far in getting a lot of potential entrepreneurs, or those are entrepreneurs right now, to move forward, in their business exploits. Question. People know Muzon to be in this space for a while, but now, if you're talking about theater in Nigeria, and I dare to say even across Africa, you'll probably come to be, the reference point, right, for that. So at that point when you started, did you see Muzon as your competitor? And, did you set out to beat them? And if you did, what was the process that you went through, if you did? Then secondly, what lessons do you have for people who are going into business, as far as competition is concerned, and how do you factor that into your plans and use that for growth, as something to propel you towards excellence? You talked about excellence. So how do you use that competitive strain to sort of give yourself proportion?
Thank you. Very good question. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. That was a very fantastic. I enjoyed that, and I learned a couple of things. So I'll just go straight to my question. So I wanted to ask, when you started, and as you kept on innovating, according to using technology to improve, I would like to ask, what were some of the mistakes you made, that, and how fast were you able to pick yourself, to continue with the trends? Because, recently there's a lot of trend. What worked in 2023 doesn't apply in 2024 because things are changing every now and then, and you could get confused, especially for someone that's just starting out. So I would like to ask, what were some of the mistakes you made, and how were you able to correct those mistakes and get better with your craft? Thank you.
Wow. Excellent questions. I'll take the 3. First is the small business. So for me, the way I look at life is that there are different levels. Even in business, they say there is SMEs, there's the small, there's the micro, there are the bigger businesses as well. So at your level, whatever it is that you're doing, there are people that are better than you, that have better understanding of things than you probably have or do, right? And that's where I'm coming from. It's not always that everybody is going to start with a GT bank. It's not always that all of us will have access to $1 million. It's not always. But in your space, in your sphere, there are people who have better understanding of what you're trying to do. And I think what I want to say to you is that you must look for them. So when I talk about GT Bank, just let me clarify this. Nobody took me to GT Bank. I initiated it. Yes, maybe my pedigree helps, but let me tell you this, I could have used friends. I could have used, anytime I'm doing anything, I ensure that nobody introduces me to the person. And this is why. I don't want to be beholden to nobody. I don't want anybody to say they did me any favors. Then you become their poodle. So when I wanted to reach Mr. Tayo Aderiokun, I kept calling his secretary. I know 1 million people that know him. After a while, he said, oh, please, can the secretary called back and said, who is this madam that keeps saying she wants to meet me? That's when I went. And when I went, I was ready with my pitch. So this is me here. You might want to access me. You might not be able to access me. If you keep pushing, coming to Terra Culture, one day I'll be like, look, you know what? Let me talk to this guy. So there's something called persistence that a lot of us don't have. You must be persistent. You must be tenacious. You must focus on what you're looking for in life. Nobody's going to come looking for you. You must want it badly. And when you want it badly enough, it will happen. All right? So that's my answer to you. There's somebody somewhere that knows more than you. So please focus on finding those people, and you will find them. All right? Thank you. Then the second thing is competition. This is a very important thing that we need to address. So people see competition as being negative. I actually see it as a plus. And I tell you why. Whenever you're comfortable in your space, you think you're the king of the castle, but in reality, you're not. You're thinking, oh, I'm the best movie maker. Oh, I'm the best this. Somebody else is honing their skills and they're getting better at what they do. So what I do with competition is this. First, I focus on my focus. Whether Toke likes issue, whether John likes issue, anybody, I don't care. You can do whatever you want. My focus is my focus. And the distraction is too much in modern day society, especially with all the social media nonsense that goes on. So you have to protect yourself from the madness, because a lot of it is also fake. So you guys have to understand that when you're starting a business, when you're starting out in life, you have to create your own bubble. That's space where nobody can come into and permeate and tell you that, oh, this is not good enough. I just do me in my own space. But what I do is this. I study the work of everybody in my space. If you think you should be hating your competition, then you're not very smart. It's the opposite. What has she done that people are saying her work is good? I go and look at it. I say, okay, oh, okay, good. We borrow from here. Why are you reinventing the wheel? People every day try to think they're geniuses. There are very few geniuses born. Most of it is through hard work and consistency that people become geniuses. You don't need to fix things. Just sort it out. Look at what others are doing, fit it into what you're doing, and get better than them. That is the kind of competition you should have, not the one where you're hating, pulling somebody down. In fact, let me tell you this. No matter how much you hate, you can't pull anybody's destiny down. It's your problem. You're just hating and belly aching for no apparent reason. Focus on you. When you focus on yourself, you move faster and just study what other people are doing. And I keep saying this thing, don't stay local. Keep looking at what people are doing internationally as well. That is the beauty of the internet. Why is filmmaking at this level in America, and why are we here? Why is theater like this here, and why are we here? Those are the kind of comparisons I like to make. So all these local fighting doesn't really make sense in a lot of cases. So competition is very good for you. It makes you get better. And it makes you sit up. And when we started out, Muson actually wasn't in fact, Muson was my partner. I used to go there because we didn't have a theater to do our plays. And guess what I've done again? With the theater festival, I've gone back to Muson as one of the centers, and they'll become the hub. So partnerships is also important. We have to understand that we have to pool resources together. We have to work together if we want this country and this community to grow. That's what everybody has to do. Then the final question was mistakes. You can't grow in life without making mistakes. Your mistakes are your first successes. So when I started with let me give you the example of Saro the musical. Like I told you, it didn't really go as planned. At that time, we had everybody, Minister, President Tinubu, everybody was there that day. The sound was going off. Everything was bad. For 3 weeks, I had nightmares. But I spent 3 times what I've ever spent on any production on that production. So I wasn't scheming, I wasn't cheating. I just wanted it to be right. But it was bad. So I could have given up, but I did not. In fact, when things go bad, then the lion in me rises. I was like, I'm going to fix this. So the first thing I did was I fired everybody that worked for me. I said, you guys can't take me to the promised land. Because if it was money, I threw money at it. So it just means that you guys are not capable of doing what I want you to do. So I took over. There was resentment. There was hatred. There were people who were like, who is she? What does she think she knows? She will flop. I came back, bam. Give them waka, bam. Give them death, bam. I just kept boom, boom. Before I knew it, I was the best at the game. That's it. Just keep doing you. Just keep doing you. Don't look to the left, don't look to the right. People will criticize you. You can't let criticism take you down. It's part of life. And what I keep telling people all the time is constructive criticism is good. When I do a film and people are saying, this is great, I call some people into a room and I say, tell me the truth. What didn't you like about this? I listen. I go and fix it in the next film. So you must be careful of praise singers. There are too many. They'll deceive. Even people who don't like it, there's some people who come out of a film, they hate it. And they'll be like, oh, you did so well. It's a lie. Surround yourself with people who tell the truth. And you know people who tell you the truth. You know. We all know those who tell us the truth. And that is what is important, that we all do for ourselves. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I think we have other questions, but we'll wait and we'll also compile them, especially the ones that are online, so that we can get the other panelists. Thank you so much. Thank you.
For trades that will last, you need the right structure. For a business that will work, you need the right support. We know you want your craft to be around for generations, and we see all you are doing to make sure of this. We know you want to expand your business and would not mind a little help. We have created unique solutions for you. From everyday banking needs that save you time to funding your business dreams. You know your business and we support your needs. Let us help you build for tomorrow. Open an SME account today.
It's been 75 years of building a legacy and rewarding you. This time, it's bigger. Save small and win a share of 200 million naira. The UBA Legacy promo is here to make it happen. Save 5,000 naira and watch the money rain. 75 customers will win 1 million naira. 75 customers 500,000 naira. 75 customers 250,000 naira. 75 customers 100,000 naira. And lots more. It's a win-win. Dial *919*20# to open a savings, bumper, next gen or kiddies and teens account and start saving to qualify. Terms and conditions apply. UBA, Africa's global bank.
All right. Are you excited? Yes, that's right. And we're just scratching the surface. So we're not going to waste any more time. What I'd love to be on stage with the wonderful minds that I see over here, I need to hand over the microphone to an accomplished professional who has moderated conversations that have sparked and built and, what can I say, done a lot of things exceptional in the industry. Ladies and gentlemen, join me and welcome the beautiful, the articulate, the special, the superstar, Sharon Ochono.
Thank you so much, Tola. You know, when you were saying these things, I was wondering, is it me you're talking to? Good afternoon. Yes, good afternoon, everyone, once again. And thank you so much for taking our time to be part of this conversation. And to our esteemed keynote speaker, thank you for the wonderful points that you have raised regarding starting a business and building it to last. All right. From the last conversation, we established that some of us had started businesses at some point in our lives and stopped along the way. And given the theme of this business series, it says, build to last, profit with purpose, business continuity. So I want to engage the audience again. How many of us have started businesses because other people are going into that business without any purpose at all? I know I've been one of them, and I'm sure a lot of us are guilty of that. Come on, don't be shy. Indulge me. Are you saying that we have not started businesses because other people were doing it? Yes. Okay, thank you so much. Well, in the usual fashion, UBA have also invited esteemed guests to come and participate in this panel discussion. And we will be calling our panelists now to, start the conversation. So, I'm sure most of us must have heard about Happy Coffee. Right? Yes, you have heard about Happy Coffee. So she will be one of our panelists. And please, ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause for Princess Adeyinka Tekenah.
Princess Adeyinka Tekenah is the founder of Happy Coffee and the convener of the Lagos Coffee Festival. She serves as an advisory member of Apple of All Nations in Nigeria and the UK. Princess Adeyinka currently is the first elected national president for Nigerian Women in Coffee. She's the author of African Coffee Creed for Women. She's also an alumni of the 2015 Tony Elumelu Foundation. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a warm welcome to Princess Adeyinka Tekenah.
You're welcome. Now, the second person we'll be calling upon is someone we have all grown to watch on our screens. I'm sure we have heard about Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. If you know Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, you know who is coming on stage right now. Ladies and gentlemen, keep the round of applause coming. Frank Edoho.
Frank Edoho is one of Nigeria's most celebrated show hosts and anchor. He's the famous Who Wants to Be a Millionaire TV show host and has anchored the show since 2004. He's also a cinematographer, Black Magic Design certified colorist, a leading interior design photographer in Nigeria, a producer, and a director. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the legendary Frank Edoho.
Where did you guys get that picture? I'm not that handsome.
Oh, really? Okay. Now, our next panelist is someone we all know. We call her Talk Star or Baby Girl for Life. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, keep the round of applause coming as we make welcome Toke Makinwa.
Toke Makinwa is a distinguished multimedia personality, actor, author, entrepreneur, and celebrated influencer, known for her dynamic presence in Africa's entertainment and creative industry. She's a brand ambassador for numerous brands. Her entrepreneurial spirit led her to launch her luxury brands, Toke Makinwa Luxury, a perfume and handbag line. She wrote the best-selling memo on becoming. She's also the founder of the Toke Makinwa Foundation and Empowerment Project. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Toke Makinwa.
Yes, thank you so much. Now, our last panelist will be joining us virtually. He's an industrialist, well-known in that field, and he goes by the name Dr. James Asare-Adjei. Please, ladies and gentlemen, although he will not be coming to the stage, he will be participating virtually, but make a round of applause for him. You're welcome, Doctor.
Dr. James Asare-Adjei is an industrialist and academic. He is the Chief Executive of Asate Group Limited. He is currently the Chancellor of Heritage Christian University College in Ghana, a key advocate for technical and vocational education. He serves as a board member of the Commission for Technical and Vocational Education and Training, and a steering committee member of the Ghana Skills Development Fund. Please join me in welcoming the distinguished Dr. James Asare-Adjei.
Thank you so much to the audience for being parts of this session, and thank you once again to the panelists. I feel like I've said thank you many times, right? Okay. So I just wanted to let the audience know that you can jot down your questions, pay attention, and at the end of the panel discussions, we'll take your questions as well, and also to the physical audience. So let me start with Tekenah, Princess. Yes, as someone who has actually introduced a fresh perspective, right, in the culture of Nigeria, particularly in the coffee industry. What steps have you taken to maintain your business purpose and continuity in a building industry?
Thank you. First, I would like to thank the foundation. I would like to thank UBA, but I want to thank the Tony Dumeli Foundation first. Quick background story. I had moved back from Nigeria on a one-way ticket in 2009 as a young Nigerian student. I believe that after getting my education in America, a story that if I had to write, you'll be amazed. I was homeless, I was everything, but after I graduated with first class, I moved back to Nigeria. I wanted to be part of the nation building process. So I was waltzing on the streets of Instagram in 2015 when I came about the Tunibeli Foundation application, if there were Africans who had ideas that would transform the continent. And I filled the application, and I was happened to have been selected as the first 1,000 Africans to receive $5,000. Then it was ₦1 million, and that was in 2015. And we got a 3-month training out of the door. I was one of those businesses that started as an idea when I got selected at the foundation. So there was no happy coffee. It was just an idea. And I'm sitting here today to tell you that truly, in Africa, we can build lasting businesses. I am a perfect example of a business that started on the continent, and 10 years later, I'm still here, I'm still thriving. But for me as a business, one of the critical things that I have learned in this journey of 10 years building coffee, first, I don't know if you know that Nigeria grows coffee. How many of us know that Nigeria grows coffee? As a matter of fact, 22 states in Nigeria grow coffee, but I'm sure that all of you in this room, most of you in this room, drink only imported coffee. And the reason why is because we do not add value to our own coffee. We do not off-take coffee from Nigeria. So when I started this business, I had just a basic, maybe I call it a fantasy. I wanted Nigerians to have access to a fine cup of coffee. Like I said, at school in America, I couldn't afford the coffee there, but I was shocked that when I came back home, we were wasting the amount of coffee we had in the country, and that was how Happy Coffee started. And I can tell you that in the past 10 years, from 1 cup of coffee, we have gone ahead to make millions of naira from that 1 million naira that Mr. Lumelu invested in Happy Coffee as seed capital. But for us as a business, especially, and based on your question, I think for me as a business owner, the first thing I'm sure that most people can relate to me in this room is, you cannot be the villain in your own story. In every story, there's a hero and there's a villain. And I say this, that you cannot be the villain in your own story. And what does that mean? When you think about your brand and you think about you can't be that wicked founder. You can't be that wicked, if you think about that. There's some brands that you probably will never shop with again because of how the founder treated you. As a business owner, you cannot be the villain. You have to be the hero of your own story. Because at the end of the day, when you think coffee in Nigeria, and one of the beautiful privileges that I have now is whenever you think coffee, you actually think Princess or you think Happy Coffee.
I believe that deserves a round of applause. Thank you so much, Princess. You know, before the session started, I went to meet Princess and asked her to teach me how to make a perfect cup of coffee. Because I'm sure every one of us here drinks coffee, but we really do not know how to make a cup of coffee, and I needed some insights on that. But thank you so much for sharing your story. Now, my question goes to Frank, right? I mean, we grew up watching you in the media.
Yeah, another way.
I'm always going to emphasize that.
Another way to tell me I'm old. It's okay.
Okay, and now you're also active in the new media, right? In your view, how can businesses use new media to create narratives that enhance longevity and growth?
Okay, new media like social media, Twitter and all that. Yeah. Okay, the thing is this, you know, when Twitter started, it was a platform for discussion and all that. And all of a sudden, I don't know where people came from, maybe from Facebook, or I don't know. But they came with the intent to steal, destroy, and kill. So they came in. I think the problem was when they started filtering in, and of course, these children didn't know how to engage in a discussion that is conflict-free. So, you know, they started bringing conflict. And you guys, the mature ones, you said, no, I'm a bigger person. You left and went back to the Facebook that they came from. So the problem is nature abhors a vacuum. So if you are leaving, there will be this hollow thing, hollow space, and that was occupied by all these people, and that's when disputes, conflicts, and World War III started to happen, and people. So we never optimized the use of that platform, you know. And that's just the thing. If I want something sold, or if I want to sell an idea, or if I have an event and everything, I put it on Twitter now, you know, because it reaches, it's far-reaching. So we can use the new media to propagate our products and services, our talent and everything. But the thing is, you know, why I kicked against the fact that people that can approach me in real life and insult me. I'm speaking Chelsea Football Club. Someone just comes from nowhere and starts insulting my mother. Just from nowhere. So I was resenting this, building it up. I was, you know, just trying to control myself. For 5 years, I received insults. So it got to a point, that little thread that holds my sanity just cut. Mom. I said, all right, let's do it. Now, the thing I even do is that broadcasters like her and, you know, all broadcasters know how to do these things because they are wordsmiths. They study the art of communication. We all know how to do this, but none of them, they were like, I don't want to taint my brand. My own is, which brand, Seth? Which brand? So I started doing it. And ironically, you see, I don't react when someone doesn't, you know, accost me. I don't do that. But once you provoke me to that point, I will react. And I have now noticed that I've been reacting. People are calling me more for jobs. I'm booked throughout December. I don't know if it's a thing I should be happy about. You know, it's just confusing to me because that is not my nature. I like, you know, everybody in entertainment, when you see all these celebrities and everything, I think I'm probably the only one that engages with a lot of people on Twitter and Instagram. So what I'm trying to say is that the new media, don't be afraid of it. Don't be afraid of it. You should use that to sell your products and services and your talent. Someone met me and said, hey, I want you to become my mentor. I said, absolutely not. You know why? Not that I can't mentor. I mentor a lot of people. The way I did it was I had up to 50 mentors. Most of them didn't even know they were my mentors because I was studying them from afar. So the ones abroad, I studied Ryan Seacrest, I studied Jeremy Clarkson, James May, Richard Hammond from Top Gear. You see, while all these other broadcasters were sleeping, I was staying up and watching presenters. Why is he doing that? Why can't I stop watching this guy even if he's talking nonsense? So what's that thing? Then I'll say, oh, that's it. I'll imbibe it in my presentation. Then I go to, so I just watch, like she said, you know, you have to study. You don't need to reinvent the wheel. So I studied all these people, got a melange of all their talents, all the things that I liked, added it to my character. Bob's your uncle. Everybody now says, Frank. When everybody says, oh, you are so fantastic, I'm like, you don't know what I did. I'm like a compilation, the greatest hits of everybody that did presentation, including those ones in Nigeria. I just add all of them and I do it. Now, I now realize the importance of new media. I never used to take selfies before. I said, why? Why should I do that? Why? I'm not vain and everything, but now, see, I've told my manager, okay, look at him there, he's filming. I said, you better film this thing and let me put it out there because I understand the potential of using the new media to boost yourself, boost your brand, your ideas, and that will lead you to success ultimately.
Is that your final answer?
What?
Is that your final answer? You want to phone a friend?
Madam, you need money to say that.
Okay, thank you so much for that. So, Toke, or should I say Talkster?
Both.
Okay. Well, we're aware that you have built a very strong personal brand by leveraging on the media, right? So how can you advise entrepreneurs to also use the media to drive sense of purpose and continuity in their businesses?
Thank you very much for that. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm very honored to be, on this platform because she just asked a question, and my first answer is you gotta keep learning, and that's what this has done for me this afternoon. Just listening to BAP open the floor. I mean, I was like, I don't envy anyone who has to go after her.
I swear.
You know what I mean? Because she tore up the building, and she already sort of nitpicked a couple of things that I would share when I.
Well, I hope that wasn't my car. All right.
Well, okay, I think this one. When I started out, I wish I could sit here and say, oh, I had this clarity and purpose of what it is that, my brand was going to become. I didn't even know it was a brand. I was in banking as Auntie Bolanle, as I always call her, I'll call her BAP. As she said, do not despise even those things and those early years and those jobs that you feel, why did I even have to do this? She talked about being at the UN. My days in banking, I've been one of the people in this room. I totally hated it. I thought, what am I doing here? And people around knew. It's so funny how you're always going to, be different. I remember doing NPR meetings. They would just look at me. I've been in one of those. They would look at me and be like, what are you doing here? Because if it came down to bathing up to work, my TM Lewin shirt, my skirt, my makeup, the personal brand was already being built even before I knew that I was going to go into branding. I took it very seriously. And, to go and defend the months, I'm just looking at them like, help. I'm just a girl afterwards. And I had a lot of my directors then say, you look like you belong on a runway. Banking is not for you. And they were right. But I'll tell you what banking did for me. Waking up as early as 5:30 to be at work, be at my desk at 6:30, and, to sign in, make sure that you are, we know how early banking starts. I never knew that I would, later on host one of the most important shows in the mornings in Lagos, which is the morning drive, which I did. Banking prepared me for that. Showing up, waking up early, being dedicated. I didn't know all of those things were attributed to building longevity in a business. Because no matter how great you are, if you don't show up, you will be forgotten. If your attitude is not right, as Princess said, no one is going to want to work with you. People oftentimes ask me, why are you hustling like you're trying to get a break? You are talking Makinwa. And I said, what does that mean? Eminem hustles like he's about to get the next record deal. The greats are people who don't sit down on yesterday's glory and think that because I've gotten through the door. So for me, when I started out, as I said to you, I'm going to be very honest here, I didn't have it drawn out You know, BAP had the purpose, and I'm so grateful to that worked out for her. That wasn't my story. You know, I just hated banking. My siblings would look at me and say, you don't like this job. Why don't you do what you're good at? When I was much younger, I was one of the people that started out at Cool FM, but it was just a summer job. Someone saw me somewhere and heard me speak at Muson Center and said, you have such a nice radio voice. And I thought, huh? A guy broke up with me when I was in uni because he said I sounded like a man, because I have a very raspy voice. So I thought, really? And it's like, yeah, do you want to, there's this teenage show, we're kickstarting it on radio, and it's about sex, drugs, rock and roll, just to advise teenagers. And I was like, me, I've always loved money because I love to look good. So I said, how much are they paying? I'll be there. And I went for the audition, and I met the late Tosin Bucknor and 3 other guys. All of them are late. I'm the only one still here. We kickstarted our radio careers on that show. Tosin went on to become, you know, area mama. While I was, you know, thinking this radio thing won't work out for me, I took a hit. I mean, my family members finding out I was on the radio was like, who did you tell? I didn't even go back to quit my job. That was just it. I went to get a degree, and of course, I got a job at Zenith Bank, and I hated it, you know. So I think for me, the brand builds itself on the anchors that I've mentioned here. The dedication that I learned from waking up in the morning, the showing up even when I don't know what it is, but I'm available to learn. You have to be teachable. You can't know it all. The day you know it all, as Bolanle said, those people that will be hyping you, telling you, you're on your way out. Literally, you are. You know, leadership, I didn't even know that was what it was, but I just knew that I would, you know, love to ask. I believed in team building, and that's exactly the success story of the TM brand. I wish I could sit here and say I knew all the ideas. I mean, I was a radio girl. I started radio when radio presenters were heard and not seen. And I saw that vacuum, and I said, I'm going to change this. Why are they always heard and not seen? You know what I mean? These are the guys who keep you up at night, or when you're heartbroken, they make sure you sleep well and wake you up in the morning and keep you entertained as you're driving to work. These are the people when you're trying to get away from meetings in the car and there's traffic, you tune into a drive time show and you're totally entertained. A lot of people in here probably used to call radio stations back then, but they didn't know what they looked like. I worked with people like Ebele or Lisa. When I started out at Cool FM, Dare was the voice at night. And I was just an Ebele. And I would just listen to them and be like, I just want to be as cool as these guys are. And then I started my shot on the late night show as well at Rhythm. And I thought, what would I do? Exactly, learning from them. Dari's music selection, people talk about it till tomorrow. Ebele's voice, and just her delivery. And I added that to become a fantastic broadcaster. It was important for me to learn from people around me and see the vacuum, which is radio presenters are heard but not seen. And then I said, I'm going to change that. They started calling me MTN everywhere you go, because I was that girl that was everywhere. Marketing, networking. I didn't even know that was what it was. I just, you know, would love to attend this event and see the people behind certain things and just to talk to them and see how, you know, as a radio presenter, how can I be more? How can I do more? How can I just, I didn't want to just be, you know, a radio presenter people will talk about and say, you know, yeah, you listen to her, but you don't know what she looked like. So I would apply myself. I'll put myself out there. I would go to events. Half the first couple of years I started out in this industry, I worked for free. It really made me feel bad. And I promised myself that when I made it, nobody's ever going to work for me for free. Because I would hear things like, it's exposure, it's exposure. I did it because I wanted the exposure and I was hungry enough. And please don't get me wrong. Don't despise that. They gave me a chance in the first place. When I started out, I knew the people that were competition, as you would call that. I remember one time I wanted to hire a manager. Sorry, I would wrap up now. And, you know, but then I just thought I needed someone to manage this. I didn't know what it was. I just knew that there was this thing I was doing and, you know, it was adding to something. And I wasn't satisfied with being just one thing. That also helped me. I just wanted to, as a presenter, at TV, YouTube, I hear about it, I read up about it, I explore it, I'm on that space. Social media, I'm doing it. And just to wrap up that question in terms of how I've been able to cross over, I remember meeting with this guy and saying, no, I need a manager because I know I'm onto something and I need the guideline. And he looked me in the face and said, look at the most famous radio presenter. Who is the person in your opinion? And back then, I'm very humble enough to admit, Tools was killing it. Is she was on radio and she was the queen of talk. And I'm like, here, tools. And he goes, go and look at tools. Go and look at what she's doing. Copy it and come back in a couple of years. That stung because it wasn't just a personal meeting. Links was in that meeting and he said that to me in front of Links, by the way. And I think some other 3 people. He just said that to me and moved on. Like, I can't manage you. There's nothing to manage. But that was what I needed as few to say, okay, all right, okay. And I started working on myself and not just being enough. And about 2 years after, I got an email from this same guy saying, I'd like to meet with you. Yeah. And I met with him. Oh, you trust me. I met with him and I'm like, oh, all right, so what's going on? And he's like, oh, so, I really think you're amazing. You're really the most talked about person right now. What can we do together? I didn't hire him because I didn't think he believed in me when I wasn't who I was. And I didn't need that. So the last point is, surround yourself with people who are team builders. Longevity only comes from not being the yes man. You can't be the only person that takes all the decision on your team. It will crash. Be teachable. If you're not teachable, there's no longevity. You have to be aware of where you are and be honest with yourself, in my opinion. That's worked for me.
So much. Thank you so much, Toke. I believe the point you have raised also aligns with what Frank and Princess Tekenah said, particularly in the area of team building, because you really cannot do it on your own, and you cannot also be a villain in your own story. So thank you so much for sharing that very insightful point. Now, my question goes to our virtual panelists. Hello, Doctor, are you there?
Yes,
Hello,
I'm here,
Dr.
Sharon.
Once again. Okay.
Hello.
All right. So my question to you, you're an industrialist, right, with proven track record in your field. Given the global challenges in supply chain management, because I'm aware that being an industrialist, you also have to take a lot of consideration in your supply chain. So what would you say, what insights can you share on fostering local partnerships to build a resilient and purpose-aligned business model?
Thank you, Sharon. Good afternoon, especially our friends in Nigeria and also across Africa. Sharon, let me begin by saying that sometimes it becomes a bit difficult to understand that if you've just had all the qualifications, you've done all the learning, you've worked at a higher corporate level, you want to find out whether you can really come that low, to start a small or a micro business. And that was what I did. My company, Asare Group, started as a micro business. And let me go back a little bit so that I can then really respond to your question, because it's very relevant to lay the foundation. So after having worked at very high level, coming to the level of a chief executive of other businesses, I decided to really start very small in manufacturing. And you would agree with me that in Africa in particular, what we need is the kind of businesses that will create the jobs, the mass jobs, for our people. So I leveraged on my experiences in the past. I've worked in manufacturing over 3 decades, and for that matter, I leveraged on that sort of experiences and the capacity to set up this micro business in the household utensils arena. To be honest, it becomes very difficult when you are starting micro business. I know that a lot of the earlier speakers have alluded to the fact that you need to really be so disciplined to succeed. So Asare Group started in that way. And then going forward, we looked at what can we do so that we can really bring, some sort of success to what we are doing, because the challenges are really big. And if I'm talking about the challenges, we all know in the area of small businesses or micro, small, and medium businesses, the key challenges that we face. the challenges that has to do with, financial support. How do you get supported? When you're not working in a booming economy, then definitely you are faced with how do you even assess market? How do you ensure that you have the right people? And this is very key because in our educational setting, there's a problem, and there's that level of disconnect between the people that our either universities or our colleges are churning out, and also the kind of people or skill that entrepreneurs or business owners are looking for. So, it was a bit challenging to really getting this level of people, to work with. Now we have to go through all these, making sure that we train and we keep on training. How do we assess financing, as I said earlier on? Of course, in some cases, you don't want to rely so much on some financial institutions that will be too costly. These are some of the key challenges that we faced. But more importantly, let me say that we should be able to identify areas where we can excel. So if you are a manufacturer, now what are some of the key things that you want to look at? You want to look at discipline. You want to look at integrity in your product line. What you say you are selling to customers, are they really what you are selling to customers? Then you want to look at how do you innovate? How do you take advantage, of a market that is available to you? What are the things that other people are doing that you want to be different? Now, these are all areas where when you focus on, then definitely you are really, going to be successful. So over 2 decades now, we've moved as a company, as a micro business, and we are in over 5 countries in sub-region. So for example, Asatec started as household cooking utensil manufacturer. Now we are into roofing sheets manufacturing. We are into the real estate industry, and so on and so forth. So these are the kind of growth, using synergy from one area or one sector, in leveraging on that synergy into another area. Coming on to specifically, your question in terms of supply chain. It is really very, challenging, of course, in recent times. How do you ensure that based on the area where you are operating, you can be able to get the right raw material? Because you are looking at a situation where you start from the beginning, raw material procurement, you are looking at value addition, you are looking at ensuring that you have quality product. Then from there, how do you get that to the market? These are spectrum of activities that you want to make sure you get everything right. Else, the competition, you cannot really meet that, or you can't be able to be ahead of the competition. Let me also mention that in talking about supply chain, then you are also looking at how do you link up yourself to the market. And that was what Asate Group did. Now, what we did was that we started, like I said earlier on, as a micro business in Ghana, but then we saw good opportunity in Togo, in Burkina Faso, in Mali, and so on and so forth. Now, we went through all these areas so that we can be able to establish our product, presence. And as we discuss, I will let you know some of the key things, some of the key success factors that we actually were able to bring on board. And Sharon, let me really find out briefly that in respect of the supply chain, you would agree with me that in manufacturing or in industry, it becomes a bit different when you are looking at the service area. Would you want to probably highlight a little bit specifically which area are you looking at?
You can speak generically.
Hello?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, that's right.
Yes, in your field as an industrialist. Yes.
Okay. So as an industrialist, and particularly in manufacturing, what you're looking at here is that how do you ensure that in that chain, of supply, you have been able to meet all the requirements, and then particularly becoming competitive. And here I've mentioned where raw material availability. One of the key challenges that we have, in industry, in Africa and Ghana in particular, is that you would have virtually all raw materials, or probably a larger portion of raw materials, imported. And in this case, there are a lot of delays, in getting, your raw materials to your factory. What we have to look at, as Ghanaians, as Africans, is how do we ensure that indigenous businesses are able to source their raw materials locally? And it's been difficult because most cases, African countries would want to export, commodities or raw materials to other countries. So how do we make sure we can really get reliable sources of raw material? That is one. Secondly, now, in trying to add value, and here value addition is very, very important. The whole continent is filled with imports. Now, the challenge has been that what do we do so that in identifying key supply chain issues, we'll then focus on what we get from within our countries. Now, if we really don't answer these questions and find solutions, then supply chain disruption, would always be with us. But we've gotten to a point where we know during COVID time, even if you can really import, you have challenges or delays and so on and so forth. Now, that is another thing. The third thing is that the value addition processes would also have to be looked at. And in this case, I'm talking about the people. How do you get the right people with the right skill? A lot of countries at the moment are emphasizing on TVET, or technical and vocational education. We've had situations where many of us really have had a lot of paper qualifications in terms of grammar certificates. But now the focus should then be on how do we ensure that we have people who are hands-on, who can actually do, what they have learned and put it in practice, for us to ensure that at least we have the right set of people working for us. And then finally, the market. A key area. And in this case, it is very gratifying that now the whole of Africa, through AFTA, is now being considered as one market through, of course, the African Free Trade Continental Agreement. And we need to leverage on this so that we'll have some sort of improved and seemingly, workable supply chain processes. I think that as we discuss these things, it will be very important that Ghana will work with Nigerians. Of course, we know Ghana is relatively a smaller market, but then you look at Nigeria, over 200 million people. How can we take advantage of that? How can we also have partnerships? And this is one key challenge with African businesses. The fact that we want to, own the businesses alone. We don't want to share risk. We don't want to go into partnership. But things are changing. And I always say that there's a very, very sad situation where if you go back 40 years, 50 years, businesses that have started because we are all started at a time because we don't go into partnerships. We don't share ownership. Now, many of these businesses are no longer in existence. So your question is really very relevant. How do we ensure that we can have partnerships? We can have some sort of arrangement that businesses will live far beyond us. We're talking about we're talking about a situation where we want to build a business for the business to last. So these are the key areas that would help us so that when we have set up businesses, we've struggled so much, sacrificed so much, then these businesses are supposed to live far beyond us. And then we should be able to prepare the people, get the people ready so that they would take over from us, succession planning. So these are some of the few things I want to share. As we go along, probably during questions time, I would throw a lot more light on some of the core values and key principles that I have used over 2 decades now in ensuring that.
Thank you so much. A round of applause for that. Thank you so much for that brilliant insight. Thank you, Doctor. You know, Doctor made very valid points when he had mentioned that he started from somewhere. He was working somewhere, gained experience before starting his own business in a micro scale. Now, it is very, because I know that some of us would just, out of nowhere, from school, we can be, very aggressive, say, let me just start a business. But at the end of the day, we do not understand the underlying principles that it takes to start a business. I mean, Toke had mentioned earlier that working in a bank prepared her to becoming a broadcaster who has now done wonderful things in her field today. Another key thing that he also mentioned that also resonated with me, and I could also align that with Princess Tekenah, was the fact that the materials, particularly in manufacturing or in production, your materials, if you have control of your supply chain, for instance, in coffee, the coffee that is being used in Happy Coffee is produced in Nigeria, right? And she has seen that gap and taken advantage of it. Toke also mentioned that OAP, on-air personalities, were only heard, not seen. And she went into that field and made a difference. This also aligns with what he also mentioned and what our keynote speaker also mentioned, as well as Frank. You know, identify something that people are not doing and do it well, provided you can do it and stick to your core. So thank you very much, Dr. James and the panelists. So my next question would now be, with your experience, and this is cut across all our panelists, with your experience in building purposeful businesses, how do you strike a balance between staying true to your core values and evolving to meet new challenges and opportunities? Because I know that there are cases where you might want to derail, but then again, how do you balance that and meet staying true to your core values? I'll start with Frank.
I think I credit my stubbornness for sticking to my guns. You know, when I first delved into, firstly, when I wanted to go to school, my father said, you have to study one of 3 professions. You have to be a doctor, lawyer, or engineer. You know, I didn't believe that, but I was a science student. I said, all right, let me make the Akwa Ibom man happy. So I decided to take JAM for medicine, but you know, I just missed the cutoff point by the skin of my teeth. So I decided to go to paramedics. I didn't like anatomy or biochemistry. Then I said, which is the nearest in another faculty to medicine? And I said, okay, animal science. So yes, I studied animal science, and I did not study broadcasting a day in my life. So it just alludes to the fact that if you want to be anything, you will be. If you are serious, if you are passionate about something, if you are embedded in the bank now or in any other profession and you feel your body trying to tell you that you should go one other direction, you better follow that because that's your passion. And another advantage of passion is that passion makes you stubborn. That means if you have passion for something, even though you're not earning money, you will still continue anyway. So anyway, it was in the campus when my animal science department was just here, then theater arts was this way. So I'll be drifting, you know, during classes to the theater arts department because animal science is not really my thing. So I'll be drifting and drifting and drifting. That stubbornness kept me going the other way up to the extent that, you know, lecturers came together to have an intervention. They said that either I didn't want to go to school or I was possessed by a demon, that I wasn't really interested in animal science, you know. But I said I'm going to stay true to myself in spite of all the influences by my parents, my father actually, but my mother was supporting me under the radar. You know, so in school I became the campus MC. Then I went to do a radio audition. I loved radio so much because I was listening to people like Shadow Stevens on American Top 40, Ray McDonald on Voice of America. He used to present a program called Now Music USA. So I used to listen and everything. Shadow Stevens, I didn't even know he was a black guy. That's how his voice was. And, you know, when I was young, just like when Toke said her voice was raspy, my voice was deep. I was like a 14-year-old with a very deep voice. I was embarrassed by the voice. But 3 years later, I realized that girls like the voice. I'm like, okay. You know. So, you know, I delved into broadcasting, went for a radio audition. I said, hey, I want 1 hour every week. So the guy, his name is Freedom Ejom, God bless him, he said, okay, go into the booth. So the booth had this window pane that you could see through. So I sat down and he gave me a script. So I started presenting. I didn't even read like 3 lines. Then I heard a knock on the pane. The guy was frantic. And I looked at him, he said, stop, come out. I said, Frank, so you are really that bad, huh? You know, so I walked out. And he said, give me that script, give me. Oh yeah, start on Monday. I was like, start what on Monday? He said, where have you been? You have this kind of voice and you're wasting your time, you know. So that's when I said, maybe I'm onto something, you know. But my father kept on pestering me, but I stuck to my guns. And you know what? When I graduated in animal science, I did my youth service, then went to Lagos. Now, I was doing a TV program in Calabar. I had co-presenters. You won't believe who my female co-presenter was. Nse Ikbe Etem. Really? Yeah. She studied theater arts in the University of Calabar. So she was my co-presenter, and we used to present. That time, Calabar did not have a breakfast television show, so we had a couple of young guys. They bought airtime, and we were presenters there. Then I found out that all my years in radio, one weekend on TV, it really moved me in terms of my reputation, in terms of how good I was then.
Sorry, I don't mean to cut you short,
Yeah, go
but
ahead.
I'm just going to tell you this. You do know that radio made you a better TV presenter, because this argument has been long. Radio presenters make the best TV presenters, so you agree.
Because you're not seeing anybody. No. I'm happy you brought that, because I was going to put that in my repertoire. You know, radio teaches you how to talk for long hours like that. You're not seeing anybody. So you are imagining the listener, and you are talking and going into, and what Radio Nigeria taught me was scripting. The biggest trick a good broadcaster can ever pull is to give you the impression that his talent is natural. Now lie, we prepare. I script. I'll give you an example. On Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, when we started Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, the producers, the owners of the show, Sony, would send their international producers so that would adhere to international standards. It was done in over 140 countries. In India, Amitabh Bachchan, the Indian film legend, was the presenter. In UK, Chris Tarrant. Another broadcasting royalty in America, Regis Philbin, was presenting that. And then they came to Nigeria and were like, who's this kid, Frank? So they saw me, my name, they say he's young. And everybody, I was the youngest of all the presenters. So when they came, they have to hear what we are doing. So they said, all right, Frank, all right, let's have a rehearsal. So someone whispered, said, Frank doesn't like rehearsal. I said, why? You must rehearse, He said, you will soon see why. So we started. I said, all right, Frank, start the first script. I said, all right, hello, folks, welcome to a show that is titled by a silly question. Who wants to be a millionaire? Of course, everybody wants to be a millionaire. So if you think you can take a stab at it, just dial 132 using an MTN line, blah, 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 blah. Boom. They said, all right, Frank, that sounded nice. I want you to project more. Do it again. I didn't use the same script because I wasn't using a prompter, so I changed my script. I said, all right, from West Africa, Nigeria precisely, this show is setting the nation agog by the bewilderment that takes place in the show. Don't take my word for it. I just want you to rivet your eyes on this screen for the next 1 hour. Blah, blah, blah. Boom. They looked at themselves and said, that's a different script. They said, yes, we told you now. He doesn't use any, you say you don't use a prompter? The guy said, oh yeah, give me another one. I said, see this guy. See this guy, you don't know I do it. You know why? Because it alludes to what she said on radio, I am prepared. So I go again. I said, all right, you want me to start? I said, where do you want me to come from and where do you want me to land? The guy said, okay, coming from, this show started in the UK. I said, say no more. All right, okay, so are you ready? All right. So the Englishmen devised a lot of inventions, but the most popular one, and in recent times, is Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? Chris Tarrant said good evening, and the whole of Britain was engaged. Now, that same phenomenon infected other parts of the world, in remote areas, far-flung areas, and it finally came to Nigeria. And when it did, a handsome guy, me in question, decided to present. I was going. They were looking at me like this. He said, he does. How many scripts do you have? I said, well, by permutation and combination, probably 170. I can do it back to back. And that's because of radio. That's because of the preparation. So you have to always learn. She says it, and I now know, because I was trying to say what makes, I look at all our competitors, and in our industry, we are trained to receive criticism. So if I mispronounce a word now, Toke can call me later and say, hey, that word you pronounced, you murdered it. I said, what word was that? He said, this. I said, oh, how's it pronounced? He said, that. I said, all right, thank you. And now it will. So we don't do competition, like who's the best presenter, who's this. It's just these little children that bring Wizkid and Davido thing and start fighting with axes and cudgels and murdering themselves and everything, while Wizkid and Davido are probably sitting in Marbella and sipping on cocktails. You know what I'm saying? So the thing is, you have that inkling that you can do something. And in this age, in this information age, you can learn anything. I'll give you an example. My wife is an interior designer. We designed Toke's house. You know, so my wife is the interior designer. So she was taking pictures. I said, these pictures look funny because I've seen international interior designers' pictures. This your picture is not picturing, you know. So she said, yes, that they have professionals for this. I said, oh, they do? I said, all right. So I now went and I learned interior design photography for 4 years. I learned cinematography. I learned photography plain. Then I started with portraits. My portraits were so nice, you know. I told my wife, said, hey, I'm going to go into portrait photography. Then she said, who's going to be your subject? I said, oh, women, of course. She said, over my dead body. So I learned more of interior design photography. And right now, I think I'm the best interior design photographer in Nigeria.
Round of applause, please.
Yes, because I learned. So stick to your guns, be stubborn. Don't say, hey, you know. And also, you have to look at what other people are doing, then you can take, you know, from them. But always stay true to yourself. Be stubborn. Don't go and ask somebody who doesn't understand or doesn't have the foggiest idea about your destiny. Say, hey, I want to go into this. And you won't blame the person for not seeing sense in it, because that's not their destiny. They will discourage you and say, no, I don't see, no. Just stick to what you do best. So, you know what? Keep your mouth shut. Continuously learn. And you know what? Let your passion just fuel the longevity, and you will be successful.
Add to that just a little thing to add to that. I know that, you know, you hear several advice, and sometimes it can be very contradicting because you're hearing stick to who you are, but the times are changing, and we can sit here and act like it's not what it is. You know, I think it's to find a line where the ethos of your brand and the evolving times can align, and it's very tricky. Being teachable does that for you. I said that before. Knowing, as he just said, what is going on. Technology is here. In a couple of years, we might be replaced by this robot, like it or not. And even if you know you're stubborn and you believe in this, you believe in that, you know, where do you find your brand existing in the new world that is to come? And that can only happen when you're aware, when you constantly evolve. But do not evolve to the point where you lose the soul of who you are, the reason. And that what helped me, in my opinion, and what constantly helps me is the community that you grow in your business. Every business has a community. You have to constantly listen to the language of the community and critically analyze yourself, because no one can do it for you. I'll bring it to something as simple as Instagram, for instance. You know, you go back on your Instagram world and see the things you did at certain parts of your brand, and see the engagement you got, and see the numbers that did in comparison to what is going on now, and constantly have those conversations with yourself. Being true to your brand, being stubborn about what you believe in is great, as Frank has said, but also the times are changing. Also knowing how your stubbornness can fit into the evolving time. So what my community likes from me, what engages the most, what brings the most sales in terms of coffee, like when my customers come in here, how do they like being served, and finding a way to not lose the essence of who you are, but tailor, just finding a relationship where it can work and coexist. Because that's the only reason why we can sit here today and talk about someone like Jay-Z, for instance. He doesn't need to hold the mic, but he's still one of the most powerful entertainers in the world. He would still dabble in basketball and, be on the back scene, but he's putting people on. How do you build a business that even when you're no longer Toke Makinwa, it's going to last? People are buying into this, maybe because you buy my perfume or my bag because of me, but how do I sustain a returning customer in making sure that, the colors of the season is what we're producing as well. I'm not going to say because I'm Toke Makinwa, these colors are not in, but I want to produce that. It wouldn't sell. Even if people love you, they love you, but you're only going to be talked about in reference to that time. Do you know what I mean? So you have to constantly evolve with your stubbornness, because I also believe in staying true to who you are. You can't be everything. I'm not going to be Frank Edoho. I can try. I would never walk in his shoes. He's walked for people like me to even sit on this stage and have these conversations with you. And, I cannot sit here and continue to say I want to be him. It's not going to work. I can look at things in his brand that worked for him and look at how I can add it to the evolving times. You have to be, you cannot but evolve. If you stay in the same place and you are stubborn, time will pass you by. So you have to find a way to, knit your stubbornness in the evolving times. Learn. He learns photography. He learns the skill of taking. I'm sure at some point you never thought that would be one thing you would do.
No.
But he decided to teach himself, and look at him today. And I know you guys have won awards from doing this around the world.
Oh, yes. I didn't add that I'm an international award-winning photographer. So
If you don't blow your trumpet, no one will. So, Princess Tekenah, could you also try?
I think for me...
Please, Princess, where's the coffee now? We're doing coffee. Did you bring coffee here? Okay. Thank you. Oh, yeah. Eniola, please come and call us before.
So that means Happy Coffee gets free ads from you.
Yeah, sure. What's
and
it?
To your age group as
Nigerian ground coffee.
Why the ageism?
This is amazing, because this was what got me to meeting the French president in 2018 as well. And also Mr. Lumelu, when the French president came to Nigeria for the first time. Anybody who knows me knows I always have my product in my bag. That's the first thing. Like if you open my car, my bag, there's always my product. I am the first and the loudest promoter of Happy Coffee. That's number one. But, when you were talking about how do we stay focused, and the question you answered, if you know me, stubbornness cannot begin to describe how I am. As a matter of fact, my mom, the biggest question my mom has with me, or problem my mom has with me, is she needs to pray for this stubbornness to go. And I told her one thing, I said, I'm stubborn for a reason. And let me tell you why. In 2009, I took a one-way ticket from America to Nigeria. I just graduated from college. It took me 12 years to get my first degree. I started from Unilag. I failed woefully. I went to the embassy by myself. I told the lady that I don't know if I'll come back to Nigeria. She gave me an American visa. I had $140. No mommy, no daddy. I went to New York. I spent 8 years in America doing all the jobs you can think of. I finished that degree. And instead of me to wait back and marry the man that wanted to marry me, I took a one-way ticket back to Nigeria with 2 boxes. My mom thought, maybe, they say when somebody wants to die, they'll be behaving one kind. So in my family's mind, it was like I was coming to die in Nigeria. I said, Mommy, no, I need to come back to Nigeria. This is where I'm supposed to be. When I came home, I had no job. I graduated with a first class. Remember when I went to America, I only had $140. How I even finished school in America, only God knows. But I came back. I didn't marry that guy. I came back to Nigeria. Okay, so what are you now coming to do with your degree? Nothing. I worked with the company for 5 years. I was selling TVs until I found the Tolilulu Foundation and I started Happy Coffee. If you know one thing about me, I am determined to succeed. There is nothing under this sun I do not do with and for my brand. My team is here. I wake up, I'm not the boss that I'm now CEO. No, I cannot carry coffee. We have a job on Saturday. I told the team, I will go and do the job because they have to do something else. I am determined to succeed. And you know why? Because in a few years from now, I'm going to run for the office of the president of this country. I have been saying this since I was maybe 12. Yes. I have been saying this. And I can tell you that it is going to happen. And the reason why this is going to happen is because I am determined to succeed. I lost my dad when I was 16. He was killed on the streets of Lagos. And from 16, I'm 46. I turned 46 last month. And every day of my life, I made up my mind that I am going to be the best version of myself. In the foundation, if you call me, I remember when TEF used to have events in Abuja, I wouldn't even have money for accommodation. I'll find money, I'll take a ticket, I'll be there. I'm always the person that you can depend on. As an entrepreneur, you have to be dependable.
A round of applause for that.
You can, see, if you call me today, you can depend on Princess. You can depend on me to get the job done. On the third year of my journey in Happy Coffee, my sister died at childbirth. I shut down Happy Coffee. I took her son, who is my son today, and I spent 7 months of my life caring for him because I took him from the hospital and I went back to Happy Coffee. And this is the way I am with my brand. And that is what has kept me in focus. Stubbornness does not even begin to determine or describe how we're going to get to Aso Rock. And I say this to young, especially for women. You know, Toke is one of the people that I admire. Like, I was following your story. When you said you were on your way, I said, finally. Because I've been tracking you, like, she's not on her way from London. We're supposed to be on a panel together. I remember someone I met who knew you in camp in NY. She said she knew Toke was going to be successful because you always used to say it on camp. Like, when you come out, that you're always made up. They used to wonder, Madam, are you not in NYC camp with us? I remember that statement. And that is to say this as an entrepreneur. There are things that will cause us not to want to survive or not to want to build our businesses. I lost my marriage also on this journey, but that hasn't stopped me. And I tell people, if Princess can do it, it took me 12 years to get my first degree. I lost a sister, I lost the marriage, I lost a father. I've lost everything that should make me not want to be a true Nigerian. But I can tell you today, I am the finest or one of the finest Nigerians you've ever met. And guess what? This coffee is going around the world. Whether we like it or not, whether Nigeria wants it or not, this brand is going to be around the world. And that's how I keep my focus. Thank you.
Thank you so much,
Madam, don't take style and collect the coffee back.
I don't know, to be honest, when I started this business, right, all I had then was the 1 million naira and a little box. As I'm speaking to you today, that's our head of consumer experience. We are oversubscribed as a brand. We do not even have enough coffee to meet our present demand. And this was a brand that started with 1 million naira. We've done, if I tell you the numbers, as a matter of fact, I remember 2 years ago, somebody asked me to give 60% of Happy Coffee to raise funds. Today, I got a deal yesterday, a mind-blowing deal, to give us money to keep building our brand. So guys, you can do it.
How much?
Yes.
Sorry, I'm a broadcaster.
No, not a problem. We'll talk in camera, sir.
Okay, thank you so much, Princess, Frank, Toke, and Doctor, for sharing your story and how you have navigated through this challenge. Okay, yeah, and how you have navigated through this challenge.
Sharon, can you make? Let me make a quick point, Sharon.
Okay.
Can I make a very quick point? Right. The question you asked is really very relevant when it comes to manufacturing. Yeah. When it comes to manufacturing, I mean, staying focused is absolutely necessary because, we have a lot of businesses which hitherto would have lasted or maybe have been built to last. But because of not staying focused, because of probably taking decisions which are not really, in consonant with your core values, you realize that, some of these businesses go down. Let me mention a few things. For example, if you're running a manufacturing business, ensure that you do not use short-term funds for long-term expenditures. You know, entrepreneurs and business owners sometimes can be very adventurous, and then you would want to do everything at the same time, which is very dangerous for businesses, especially at a startup. Now, secondly, let me also mention that you need to reduce capital expenditures, in your formative years. And then thirdly, let's bear in mind, we talked about partnerships, and then you asked, what about staying focused? You know, some businesses would want to diversify, but my advice is that when you are doing diversification, it should be related diversification, in which case, for example, if you are in manufacturing and then you decide that because you're making so much money, you want to go into airline business. This is unrelated diversification, and a lot of businesses have done that, and then they have they have really run the businesses aground. So these are some of the key things that I believe that we need to look at as entrepreneurs, as business owners, and more importantly, when we want to build businesses to last. I will finally say this, that one of the key challenges that we have as entrepreneurs, especially from this part of the world, is we don't build people who will be taking over from us. And I don't know why we make those mistakes. We become, do it all. And then we don't prepare people after we've just worked for probably 10, 20 years and over. We can look back and find out whether today, if I'm not there, who is really going to be able to take over from me. And maybe we should get that platform to discuss about succession planning, especially in indigenous businesses and then on the African continent. And finally, we stay too much in our comfort zone. I mentioned to you that Asate Group, we started as a micro business into kitchenware. We went into roofing. We are now into property businesses. We are targeting the African continent, and where necessary, where businesses can go beyond that, I think that is the way to go, so that we don't stay in our comfort zone whilst being focused.
Brilliant input. To even emphasize, thank you so much. Yeah, to further emphasize on what you had mentioned, you said that you don't be in a manufacturing industry and taking your funds to go and start an aircraft or an aviation, to go into an aviation sector. Exactly. This buttresses the point that I know Princess and I had a conversation earlier on before the session where she had mentioned that she just stuck to coffee. No other thing. Some people, she had gotten recommendations. Oh, why don't you do snacks? Why don't you do a cafe or something? She just said no. She stuck to her guns, stuck to coffee, and it further buttresses the point that BAP also mentioned, that focus on your focus. So thank you so much to the panelists for a very, very interesting conversation. We will now we'll hand over to my colleague, the handsome Tola, to take questions from the audience.
All right, ladies and gentlemen.
Accolades between each other.
Ladies and gentlemen, a big round of applause for this wonderful session. Are we inspired? I think I learned a lot. And for some reason, I felt that everybody here was talking to me. She mentioned she worked in the bank. I work in the bank. He talked about being stubborn. I'm a Capricorn. I was born stubborn. Coffee, I take that every day. And you know what? Asare, we both have eyes at the same area. Just minister or something is all right for me. So, Madam President, yeah, future. Thank you so much. That was very insightful, very thought-provoking. And I would say this has been the best. I think we saved the best for last. I can say that. This has been the best BBA business series we had. Thank you so much, Sharon. A lovely, lovely session. So, I know we're not going to take our time any further, so we just have 2 questions for our panelists over here. Everybody's on this side. Nobody on this side wants to have a question. So we'll just take 1 question from this side. And, okay, the gentleman over there. And online, we'll take...
I think we can squeeze in 3. The lady in the turban has a...
Okay.
Girl power.
Of course.
Okay, let's go.
My question goes to Frank. So how did studying animals make you become who you are today?
Do you really know me that well? That I don't have a comeback to what you just said? No. I have to keep my responses in brand. You say, so how did studying animals? Yeah, I hated the whole thing. Really. I hated the whole thing. See, that's the thing. It's just like you trying to be an animal scientist. Maybe that's if I gave in to the criticisms from my dad and all that, I would have maybe stuck to animal science. And I would have said, all right, you know what, let me forget about this nagging feeling that I have about broadcasting or entertainment. And now you wouldn't have even known me, you know. So I feel that, you know, it's not about what you study. Nowadays, someone would just study, you know, banking or biochemistry, end up in a bank. Someone will, yeah. So, I mean, there's a great diversity involved in the world. So all you have to do is take what's from inside. You know, I'll tell you a story. You know, when my dad, when I came to Lagos and I worked with DBN TV, how I worked with DBN TV, you will not believe it. So I said, when I left Calabar, I said I was going to be a columnist. I was going to be on radio and I was going to be on TV. So my first port of call was Encomium Magazine. I went to Encomium Magazine and told them I work with DBN TV and I can write. I wasn't working with DBN TV. You know, I just came directly from Calabar, went there and said, he said, who said you can write articles? I said, I have 3 articles in my suitcase there. And they said, you have? Okay, let me see one of them. And Azu Arinze can testify to this. He's the one, he opened it and I read the first paragraph. He said, you wrote this? I said, yeah, I wrote it. I have 2 more there. He said, okay, we can't print. He said, you do know what encomium is. It's like tabloid. So we don't have like columns for intellectual articles like this, but I can put you on a magazine called Real Stars. So he wanted to it's about the movie world and stuff, and I was writing on entertainment. So I said, all right, no problem. I said, how much are you going to pay me? He looked at me and said, no, we're not going to pay you. I said, so yeah, so what did he say? You know what, just use this as leverage. I said, fine, no problem. From there, I took a bus straight to Ikoyi, went to DBN TV. I told them, I'm from Encomium Magazine, and I want an audition. True story. I want an audition. I can present. I used to present in Calabar and everything. They gave me an audition. So 2 weeks later, I was working with DBN TV, writing an article. Then I said radio. Radio was my first love. Like, okay, so you see, if I ask her, which do you prefer? She will say radio all the time because we radio presenters, we love radio so much, so versatile we can do. But TV, all you have to do is just appear with some steez, wink at the camera sometimes. They'll say, oh, you are a very good presenter. But radio, if you are a good presenter on radio, that means you are fantastic. So from DBN TV, I worked at DBN TV for a year. I learned how to be a cameraman, reporter, news producer, editing and everything. After 1 year, went to Radio Nigeria, did an audition. They sent me on training, and I came back, stayed there for 4 years, left them, did an audition for Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, and that audition was terrible to me. But they picked me. They picked me, and I said, I am going to study this thing. So I started watching the Japanese presenter, the Chinese presenter. I watched everything, and I now concluded. I said, okay, Frank, this is the direction. The executive producer said, no, Frank, don't you want to be? I said, no, I know what I'm doing, really. You see this show? I'll present it for 10 years. I know what I'm doing. Stay with me. I did it for 14 years. As a matter of fact, when it first stopped, the second time the show came, everybody in broadcasting knew the show was coming back with different producers, except me. I didn't even know. All my so-called friends in the industry didn't tell me. Did you know about it?
I did not know.
Oh, okay. Because I wanted to start making you feel guilty. But anyhow, they did 76 auditions. And my performance in the first series was, I guess, impactful, that they checked all the 76 auditions, say, yeah, very many talents and everything. They looked at themselves, what is Frank doing these days, you know? So they called me. I didn't even know. I went to a restaurant. They said, hey, you know, we have a show. now that we want you to do. I said, all right. I said, who wants to be a millionaire? I said, yeah, that's ended. What's the name of your show? He said, who wants to be a millionaire? I said, who wants to be a millionaire? Where? How? Do you own the license of who wants to be a millionaire? He said, yes, we have it. I said, okay. Why do you want me to come back? And there are many guys and everything. They said, yes, we have already auditioned 76 people. I said, you auditioned 76? Why? I didn't even hear about it. He said, you were not supposed to. And they said, we want you to come and do it. I didn't do an audition. I just strolled into the studio, continued like I never left. So it just shows you that no matter what you study in school, my man. What did you study in school? What? And now you're working where? In a bank. You're what? Oh, non-accounting. You're in the IT department. Oh, wow. You're like a round peg in a square hole, right? But it's okay. It's okay. I'm sure there's something that maybe that's IT is what you really want to do. So I congratulate you. Anything you feel that you can do, even if it's selling live goats. No, don't laugh. Don't laugh. Otumba, there's a guy, I think he passed on. He used, you know what his business was? He used to have compartments, like boxes, cubicles, that he would bring to events. So if you want to go to the toilet, you use it. You understand? Yes, global toilets. Mobile toilets, yes. And the guy, he cleaned out. He said, continue laughing at me. I'm laughing my way to the bank. So don't look at any business like, oh, no. You have to recognize a gap. Even if that gap is in the soak way and is smelling, it's better for you to be so rich, you'll be smelling of money. So that's it.
I mean, and just to add something real quick to what he said, because I mean, he did ask, studying animal, a lot of people find themselves, where they think this is what I'm doing and this is not what I want to do. But as I said here, I'm very, one of my foundations is, I would say, my spirituality. And I always remember that part of the Holy Book that says, do not despise your days of humble beginnings. Because there's a lesson in that animal farm that made you who you are today. I shared what I said about banking. There's a lesson in everything you find. You will go through things in life that you ask yourself, why did this have to happen for me or to me? Because it has nothing to do with where I am right now. But if you're going to be true to yourself, it would come at some point when you least expect it. You'll be able to look at that point in your life where you say, I read this or I studied that and I didn't even know what I was going to do with that degree. But what I'm doing today, I know that it could not be as successful, as impactful if I did not have that. So I'm just a sucker for my humble beginnings and my foundation being hedged on the things that have happened to me that I didn't even think would lead to where I am today. But surely, somehow, they work together for my good. So,
all right, we'll take our second question.
Okay, so the panelists have mentioned a lot about the advantage of new media, right? But I want to ask, do you think that this current age, right, that information out there is a blessing and also a curse? Because there's so much information out there. If you go to YouTube and just maybe type or how to be a good presenter, you have like maybe thousands of videos popping up. So what do you think is a current disadvantage of new media and, promoting products and services?
Should I?
Yes. I think for me, like you said, I am Google trained. I've never gone to a coffee school. I've never gotten any coffee certification. I'm literally Google trained. I tell people after God is Google, literally. Because a lot of young people look at social media as a means of just whiling away time. For me, it is the most powerful tool that you can ever have at the tip of your hand. Everything that you know about Happy Coffee today was born out of Google, searching. I am a versed person in terms of searching for information. You just need to decide that I need this tool to accomplish what I need, and then that would help you narrow down and bring down the noise. There's so much noise on social media. We can be looking at the same thing, but we're looking at, for example, I've gotten so many grants by just Googling grants for women in coffee, grants for women in Nigeria, won so many grants. This year, we've won about 5 grants already, just by going onto social media. So it depends on you. What do you want as a person? And then you can take that tool, like the Bible would say, what is in your hands? If Google is in your hands, what can you make out of it? And literally, for me, there has never been an disadvantage of social media. It's what we portray it to be. Yeah.
Yeah, and also these days, I mean, with the with AI and all that, I mean, it is more. The search is now more authentic. So Google will just have results of what people posted. On Wikipedia, you can just go and edit something and put there. So someone can go and put on Wikipedia that actually I'm a serial killer and stuff like that. It will just be there, you understand? So that one is not regulated. But you see with ChatGPT, I'll give you an example. My son now comes with a project and they say, okay, Dad, which, we are from Akwa Ibom State. I said, yeah, I'm from Akwa Ibom State. I knew this was trouble because, I don't know, I've left school. Sometimes I don't even remember my local government because there has been a lot of divisions. So we had Eket, then we had Ibuno, then we had Ukwo Ibuno. Now it's Esireket, That's, So I was thinking, I said, I want the location, the history of Akwa Ibom State, and everything, asking me as if I'm a former governor. So I just said, okay, I'll find it for you. I'll do it for you. But I said ChatGPT, so I just put all of them there, and it just spits it out in milliseconds, like blah, 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 including a colored map of my state. So let me tell you, the information highway has a lot of bad things there. You cannot avoid, in everywhere, you have good people, you have bad people, you have ugly people. But let me tell you something. Just make good use of the good. People are afraid to go on Twitter because, I don't want Twitter, but it's a great tool. That's the tool that was instrumental to Donald Trump winning because Elon Musk decided to jump on it and everything. He controls that machine. And before you know it, Donald Trump beats Kamala Harris in an incumbent government. So don't look at the bad aspects. Just use the benefits that you have. Many people think TikTok is a dance app. You are wrong. You are wrong. So I had a bone spur in my heel. A bone spur is when your bone starts forming like a thorn, and it was stabbing my tendons. So I had, and my Achilles tendon, I had a tear, not a cut. So my leg was like this for 6 weeks. Then when it came back, I was still feeling pain. The man told me, he said, hey, you know what? It will still happen again unless you get rid of that spur. He has to operate. Open it, then use like a plier to cut it. Then I have to recover for how many months? 3 months. Am I going to be immobilized for 3 months? So I said, okay, hang on. Let me find out. So I went, Google, ChatGPT. I couldn't get anything. Then I just said, you know what? Let me try TikTok. You cannot believe it that this lady, one old lady that talks about medicine, holistic medicine, she said, something like, oh, I put bone spot, healing of bone spot without surgery. And she said, castor oil. The castor oil is the oil that penetrates deeply. It's been known to dissolve tumors, to dissolve bone spurs. I said, castor oil in the pharmacy. Organic castor oil. I went there. They said, how much? It says 1,700 naira. I said, okay. So he said we should apply it every time you wake up in the morning, do it. I did it for 2 months. The heel spot disappeared. I got it from where? TikTok. So, but people will say, nah, TikTok is for dancing. No, it's not. It's one of the most informative apps ever. So every night before I sleep, I go to TikTok and I just browse and find things and everything, and So make use of it. Make use of it. Anything that you have, make use of it. Even the Facebook now that I'm saying, I'm going back to that same Facebook because I hear Facebook is robust, So make use of it. Make use of everything that you have at your disposal.
Okay, online, we have a question for Toke.
Yeah.
And the question is, considering the availability of many great hands in the labor market, how can you ensure you hire the right hands to help you succeed?
It's weird, but I'm just going to tell you how it's worked for me. Times I haven't listened to my gut, I've had to pay for it. As I said, I'm a very spiritual being. I pray about the littlest things. I know the person was probably looking for a technical answer, and we'll get to that. But if I have a 5 minutes, 10 minutes conversation with you and I don't feel it here, because with what we do, it has to be personal. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's not, anyone can come into you here and wear a suit and tie and tell you where they think your brand is and what they think they need to add to it and how they think they're going to get you to that place. And while that is amazing, I would hire someone who has taken the time to research the background, to know the why, other than someone who is spewing technical answers to me. And I think that comes from conversations, and that comes from my gut feeling. Times where I've ignored it in my life, I've had to pay dearly. There are brands and brand activation and endorsement that I've walked away from. I mean, I'm very honest about my growth. There are some that I took and I regretted it. The time I was the face of a lottery company, worst decision ever. I told my manager at the beginning, let's not take this deal. The money was amazing. And that's what they were looking at. And I run a business where I'm not the boss. I work for my business. I work for TM Brand. I work for Toke Makinwa Luxury. My girls are here, they will tell you, I work for Toke Makinwa Beauty. We have an open where anybody, I don't look at anybody as being too little to advise on the team. You know, if you feel something, we hear it out. If we try and we fail, we've all failed. If we win, we've all won. I'm not one to single out and say you're the reason why we failed. I take my L's as long as I know that these are the same people who are committed. And it came from just having that gut feeling that this person will go a long way with me. I've had the same staff I've had for a lot of years. And people always say, how come you're good with staff? And I said, I pray about it, because if you're not meant to work here, somehow you will not make that interview. Somehow you will not, because it's too critical and too personal for me to just leave it to someone who can come and tell me they have 10 years in this. While they are great, I've been on both ends. I told you about a manager who was the best manager at that time and who I thought I needed. He didn't take me as a client, and I'm very grateful that he didn't. Because if you could tell me to go and look at what somebody else is doing and copy that person and then come back in 2 years, you didn't care about the ethos of my business, the reason why, you know, the vision of my business and the purpose. They say where purpose of a thing is unknown, abuse is inevitable, right? So for me, I would go off a conversation if I talk to someone, and I also ask people about, you know, sometimes we get so busy with our lives that we forget the littlest things. Even your gate man can give you advice that will, you know, basically save your business. Just by 5-10 minutes of asking the guy, you know, how was your day? You have no idea what you hear back that you can pick. The Holy Book also says, out of a madman, the gospel would be preached. And trust me, I've hired people who, people will be like, you know, off the bat, they don't look like they have much to offer, or they don't look like, but as I said, we win together, we fail together. That Lotto brand, they showed me shaggy. That money they paid me, they collect. You know how you're working for someone that will say, be at Ijebu this weekend because chairman is saying this. What sort of business? I'm sorry, you know what I mean? And number two, if I was true to myself, and my gut feeling, Toke Makinwa cannot sell lotto. You don't find girls like me trying to play lotto. It's not going to work. So being able to say no to money is the same way. No, but it's the truth.
Yeah,
you probably find me...
But men that like you...
I'm sure, but Frank, for me to have that 1-year relationship where I almost lost my life, I tell people, not everybody is your customer. And I had to learn that from this mistake. Do you know what I mean? If I didn't do that, I won't be able to tell you that I've had money thrown at me for certain things, and I'll be the first to tell my management team, don't worry, the money is great. Let's take a back seat. And the same way my team members can tell me, Ma, this campaign is not going to work. And if I sat there and I thought, I'm the boss and it's my name. I remember reading, I'll share this and hand over the mic. I remember reading, there was someone owned a popular magazine. I'm not going to call names, and she shared how she also put her feet in her mouth, and I appreciated her journey. She talks about how she had someone who I think had AIDS, was supposed to be on the cover of the magazine, and when she got to the shoot, you know, she was just talking to the person and eating corn, and she just told them to shape in her eyebrows, and forgot to ask if the blade was new. And through a tantrum, once she found out that, oh my God, someone that had AIDS is going to be on the cover, and you guys didn't check if the blade was new, and it went to print. And they printed the magazine, and that story was there, and she got the worst backlash ever. You know why that happened? She's the jack of all trades. She's the one that says the yes. She's the one that accepts the print. And that's why they got into that trouble. Because if somebody could have been smart enough to really to say, This doesn't sound right. This is you literally thinking that AIDS can only be got by sharing. You know, there are people who were born and, you know, things happen to them. But sometimes in Nigeria, we find a way where, as I said, the lotto company is one man's business. If he says everybody come to Ijebu tomorrow, even the biggest actors that were on that endorsement will be flying to Ijebu. And I'm like, why? I'm paid to just sell your product. Why do I have to do this? So back to your question, in terms of hiring people, I go with my gut. Like, I would walk away from someone who is Harvard trained if I believe that you're only going to give me answers that are technical and you're not going to roll your sleeves up and get dirty with me, because that's what I think I need and my brand needs. I need people who can touch the brand, feel the brand, understand the brand, and also buy into the vision. Two cannot work together unless they agree. If you are just hiring somebody who is clocking because salary is coming on the 24th, your business won't move because you will pay them, they go to bed, they sleep, what's their own? If you make profit or loss. And I know in banking, that's how we all are, let's be honest. Do you understand? Well, like, I beg. Do you understand? But, you know, I believe that if you surround yourself with people who, even if they are not as skilled, pay the money to get them that skilled. You know, I have had people that I've invested in. Did they leave me at some point? Yes, because I'm also flexible enough to know that your life has to move forward. And the skills you've learned here, I'm hoping that you can add it to your future. And you'll always look back and say, I started here, but this is not where I am. As I said, people made me work for free, and I hated it. So even if I can't pay you what you're worth, there's nobody that can come out. I can put it online anywhere and say they've worked for Toke Makinwa for free. I just wouldn't do it because I know how that made me feel. I know how it made my talent feel. So even if I can't pay you what you're worth, I'll be able to say, okay, at least photographer, you're covering your face. Have you worked for me before? Never, honestly, because I just believe in, you know, being able to encourage people and building an environment where I can give you all you need to succeed. And if you then fail, we have conversations. Do you know what I mean? But it won't come from saying this business didn't do this for me. You're laughing. Am I lying?
Thank you so much. We'll take one more question in the house.
Sorry,
We can wrap this up.
can I comment briefly? Briefly on issue of personnel?
Please go ahead.
Very important. That has been a key challenge for businesses in Africa. I mean, Ghana, not exception. Now, the question I always ask is this. When you have expatriates or foreign businesses who come into our country, they use our own people to work. Why is it that we are saying that we don't have the requisite personnel, we don't have the people that we need to hire? It means that there are certain things that we are not doing right. So somebody is asking, how do you hire the right people, set of people to work for us? I believe that we need to, as business owners, to identify what we're looking for and then also sharing our business visions with the people that we want to bring on board. Now, more importantly, I want to focus seriously on the issue of technical education. In fact, the grammar schools, the fact that we want white-collar jobs, you know, have actually failed us, you know, as a continent, as countries. And for that matter, we are looking for people who are ready to roll their sleeves and be hands-on. I started by saying that after getting all the qualifications, after working at the very highest level, I decided to go down, starting the micro business. Now, can we get our graduates, I mean, the teeming youth who finish the universities, and then in Nigeria, you talk about copper. After you have finished copper, some people, I mean, stay in the house for probably 4 years, 5 years. You use 4 years in doing engineering, and after finishing engineering, you come and stay home for another 5 years, longer than the period you use for the course before you get job. Why are we not getting job? Then you have entrepreneurs who also say that we are not getting people to employ. Many businesses will tell you that, look, our biggest problem is getting the right people with the right skill sets to work for us. Well, I mean, I ask this question, who is telling the truth? Are business owners lying, or are the people who are looking for the jobs who are lying? That yes, we can't find jobs, there are no jobs, there are no vacancies. Then we as business owners will say there are no skilled people, there are no people to employ. So there's some sort of dichotomy, there's a gap here, and then we need to fill. So the issue of personnel, staff, or maybe the people to work for us, we need to address. But more importantly, we need to invest in the people. As we want to get reliable people to work for us, we need to really invest in the people, grow the people, let them share our vision, and then possibly have the possibility of thinking that, look, I am leaving this business behind for these people because we have to build to last.
Thank you very much. All right, so we just have 1 minute for this question.
Hi, Princess. Yes, yeah. So yes, this one is for you. So just a quick one. When you were saying 1 million naira...
Wait. Who's talking? Where is he?
Frank.
That's a deep voice. That's a good voice now.
So
God is telling you something, but you don't want to hear.
Yeah. So Princess, when you said 1 million naira, I know the grant is $5,000. So that really scared some people here. That was 1 million when you got the grant from 5K. But yeah, just to be practical. So in like 1 minute, because time is fast spent, how did you use this grant? Because one thing is to have your business idea and everything. The first step is actually get funding or get grants or get capital. So it's very important to actually let people know what were the first steps. Do you get what I mean? When you got that capital, how exactly did you now build up that brand? So we just have practical examples. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. I got 1 million. I remember the day. It was 1 million naira, then $5,000. The first thing I do with any of my grant is, and anybody knows, is I put it back in my business. Remember, I only had 1 million and it was seed capital, and I wanted to start a coffee company. As a matter of fact, when I won, I didn't have a name, so I had to register the name Happy Coffee quickly, and then I got the 1 million naira. And the first thing that I did was, I had to understand what did I know about coffee. So I used my 1 million naira to buy the simplest equipment that I could get. And at the time, I didn't even have enough sense to find out where coffee was in Nigeria. I knew Nigeria was great, so I needed to find out. So all my funds was actually used to buy equipment, capital equipment. So I had this little box that I built. I remember that my only understanding of coffee was from America, because I'd come from America. So I traveled. I used 200,000. I traveled to America at that time to get a bid from Starbucks. I went back to a Starbucks. I went to see. And that's what I do with all my grants. Whenever I get a grant, I put everything back. And it says to go about business. When Ms. Austen-Peters was talking, a lot of us don't realize that this money that you have to delay gratification. We do not delay gratification. Today I look nice. But if you looked at me 2 years ago, I couldn't come to it was even because of Toke I had to do makeup, because I was like, man, I cannot disgrace my enemy, I can't disgrace my girls. I can't be on stage with Miss Toke and be looking like. So I made up my mind, this is me. But if you looked at me 8 years ago, I was grinding hard. I was waking up at 4 o'clock, going to Ikoyi Club to serve coffee to men teen at 6. I wasn't sleeping. If anybody that knows me, I'm feeling a grant. Say, what's happening? We need money for this. Because I'm in an industry that people weren't willing to invest in me. So I had to look for my way. So if you have the opportunity to get a grant, you put it back in your business and learn financial discipline and literacy. That hit me. My first loan, I didn't know what they called working capital. I suffered. So you have to learn financial literacy. Whenever you get a grant, you put it back in your business. I remember people who got that 1 million naira. At the time I got it, they are nowhere to be found today. The word you live with today, posterity, will judge you. People got it in 2015. Where are they today? I got the same 1 million naira, and today I've built the strongest and the most influential brand in Nigeria.
So just also to add to that technical thing, because I also run businesses, what I've learned over the years is people are too afraid to fail. I'll say it again. People are too afraid to fail. To make money, you have to lose money. My first set is we have to talk honestly with each other. To make money, you have to lose money. My first set of bags, I remember putting the amount of money that I put into it, and on Twitter, they were referring to it as a science school project. I almost lost my mind. It's funny because then I cried. I can laugh about it now. But the truth of the matter is, if you don't, when you start a business, and again, not everybody is called to business, so like the moment you can tell yourself that, how will we do the white-collar jobs if we're all running away from this? Who will treat our kids tomorrow? Do you know what I mean? I raised my hands when she asked people who've done business because people are doing it. I did hair business one time. It failed. I lost money. But you have to stop seeing it as a loss and learning the critical lessons you're learning. I know it's easier said now because you see, okay, she looks nice. You can say you lose 5 million, you lose this, you lose that. But if you ask the greatest entrepreneurs, the amount of loss they've taken or the hits they've taken, we all can't survive it sitting here. So it's where you now need to also be open to getting risk advisors, people who will take their time to advise you, and be true to yourself, honestly, because there's no way your business is going to profit without a loss. You're lying to yourself. Those are the things that you need to hit you first so that you grow the strength you need to grow. Now, the first time I lost money, I didn't want to even open my laptop or decide to do this again. I just thought, let me just focus on what I know. This TM brand thing, I'm not interested in doing. But then a part of me will always ask, there's so many people who later on in their lives, they would have to put up ads for kidney failure. I mean, none of us will fall sick, hopefully not. But you have to prepare for the afterlife of being who you are. Give me, 10, 8, another 10 years, maybe. I don't even want to be in front of a camera at that point. Because if I'm there, then what's the point? There's no growth. You have to make capacity to hire people who can then live through what you started. There are many people who have gone on to become presenters today from watching myself, or even me sitting on this stage. He was one of the people that I would watch and think that I want to do what he's doing, and we're sharing a stage today. So people are too afraid. You start a business and you're already thinking about profit. It can't work that way. First couple of years, you will not make one. Have some real honest conversations with yourself. That even from the 1 million you even still saved to make this business, I'm proud of you. Some people will tell you they invested in machinery, stopped working. It's all part of your business growth. Some people will break even on the 5th or 8th year. It doesn't make you a loser. Do not compare yourself to someone's today. Because guess what? Her today is filled with many broken, lost money, borrowed money, money that did not come back, money that even when you're trying to ask yourself, how did I spend this? Just as long as you're not, free, you're not throwing money at buying things that are not going to add to your business. You know what I mean? But you have to accommodate the loss. Right now, when I do my financials, I actually put a budget for loss. I have to put it before it happens. So that way, when I sit back at the end of the year and I'm like, okay, we lost this, I'm not a bit depressed, And then you also have to find other ways to accommodate it. The Naira dollar issue that is happening right now, everybody that is in business is crying. Do you know what I mean? And people would say, oh my God, on Twitter, she's not intelligent. I don't even like to share these things because I like them to think I'm not. So that when we sit down in rooms and I say, they're like, oh my God, she actually knows what she's doing. How did I come here after 13 years? You know what I mean? So people should not be afraid to fail. Prepare for it. I look for problems at the beginning of the success story. Ask my team. I'll sit there. Once they tell me this campaign is, I'll ask, okay, where is the failure? Let's look for it. It's there. Once you can see, just fail forward. Yeah. Once you fail forward, you can see where, I don't even call it failure anymore. You see the things that you can do better. After the starting school product, I made sure that I'm not a quitter. I cried my tears. I didn't want to do it anymore. But after a while, I'm like, I invested this money. God forbid. I did it today. And then there are girls from Kenya, Malawi, who have the Toke Makinwa bags, South Africa. And it came from a science school project that Nigerians actually shut on. But I'm smiling to the bank today, so it's all good. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And lastly, to add to that, when I started broadcast, I wasn't paid for 9 years in Calabar when I did I wasn't paid a dime. Then I'm going to give you actual figures. When I worked with DBN TV, my salary wasn't up to 10,000 naira. Sometimes I was so broke that I had to sleep in the office. But while I'm sleeping in the office, I'm putting on machines, testing cameras, and learning all those things, while everybody was sleeping. They'll be like, hey, Frank, did you sleep here? I said, nah, I came early. But I used to sleep like 4 or 5 days at the office then. But I made sure I put it to good use. When I went to Radio Nigeria, my salary was 18,740 naira for 4 years. That's Radio Nigeria. 4 years. I stayed, I still continued. They now put me on a shift called the graveyard shift. Let me tell you about the graveyard shift in Radio Nigeria. Radio Nigeria is next to a graveyard. So your shift, if it starts at 7 and ends at midnight, that means you are presenting to the dead people there. That's how they viewed it. So when they gave it to me, I said, you know what, I'm going to revolutionize this. So I started playing great music that I would select. I used to go to Alaba, buy CDs. I had 2 Ghana must go of CDs, my own music. And that time we didn't have Spotify or anything. So sometimes I used to download from LimeWire. Don't do that. Don't do that. But you know what? It helped me in my journey. On Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, first 2 years, my salary per month was 100 and something thousand naira. But I had to wear a suit and say, is that your final answer? And act as if I own all the money. But when MTN came on, I just said, let me just give a figure to my boss, the owner of the show. He said, how much are you going to be paid? I said, well, I just threw a figure. I'm not going to give you that figure because
we want
I
that
see
figure.
you holding your breath. You will suffocate. I'm not saying it. Once I mentioned the figure, the guy, okay, we'll give you 3 months back pay. I'm like, I was saying use less Akwa man, instead of you to add more money and everything. But, you know, the rewards came in. I was hosting events all over the place. I was going flying and doing all kinds of things. Although my life had some ups and downs and everything. But like they said, you know, it's just the same microcosm of you facing trouble in your business. But learn how to compartmentalize and just push it aside, concentrate, your eyes on the prize, and you will get there.
Right. You know, one thing I realized is, it took me a while. We would not stop because we have...
Yeah, we do.
We'll have to call it, we'll have to pull the plugs right here. So thank you. A round of applause for everybody. One thing is, these are amazing minds on stage and they deserve a round of applause. If you can give them a standing ovation, I think they deserve it. Please, thank you, thank you. While we'll do that, for the closing remarks, I'll call on the group head of marketing and corporate communications for UBA, Alero Ladipo, for closing remarks.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, thank you. You know, every time I sit through these sessions, I realize how much wisdom and knowledge we have in community. So we've had about 4 business series this year, and everyone leaves us with something to think about and beautiful nuggets. And I was just thinking as I was sitting down there that I believe there's a need for us to actually have some sort of TV series based on what it is that we have, because there's just continuous learning. So I'm going to charge, I think we've got the Red TV team here, that all the different back tapes that we've had, the different series that we've had, I think the first one was in March. We should create a series out of it so that people can go back and listen and learn. There should be nuggets. There's so much. You know, just from what Bolanle said about being focused, and all of you here saying, focus, passion. You know, for me, whether you're trying to be an entrepreneur, you still need an entrepreneurial spirit to be in a 9-to-5. Why? Because you're constantly looking for solutions. You're constantly trying to make something better. And if you don't have that entrepreneurial drive, spirit, focus, passion, even at your 9-to-5, you'll just be mediocre. So I want to spend this time to just say thank you. Thank you, Toke. Thank you, Frank. Thank you, Princess. Thank you, Bolanle. And then I'm also just going to take the opportunity to thank all the panelists, Keynote, and Doctor. You know, the fact about when Doctor was speaking, he gave us a lot of technical nuggets that I hope people were listening to. The issue of succession planning in Africa as a whole is a big, big problem. I mean, we could have a whole session just on succession planning. Even in your homes, it's so important. Even in your families, it's so important. So thank you, Doctor, for your information and knowledge. And I'm hoping that the next time as well, we can actually host you in Nigeria, or you can host us in Ghana. Well, thank you very, very much.
Oh, I actually appreciate that.
Yeah. Thank you so much. So thank you for all our hosts that we've had through 2025. This was our final bid to last. And yes, UBA is turning 75, but this is a foundation that we've started with the business series. We're looking forward to what's going to happen in 2025. And we may have some return guests as well. And thank you so much. God bless all of you. Thank you, audience. Thank you for everyone that's connected. And yes, we're going to take some pictures now. So we're looking forward to sharing knowledge again in 2025. Thank you very, very much.
So while we're having the pictures being taken, customers, please remain seated. We have a little...
Hi, I'm Leo. Want to know more about me? Chat with me on Instagram, Facebook, WhatsApp, Apple Messages, and Google Business Chat. Search for UBA Chat Banking and always look out for the verified tick.
For trades that will last, you need the right structure. For a business that will work, you need the right support. We know you want your craft to be around for generations, and we see all you are doing to make sure of this. We know you want to expand your business and would not mind a little help. We have created unique solutions for you. From everyday banking needs that save you time to funding your business dreams. You know your business and we support your needs. Let us help you build for tomorrow. Open an SME account today.
It's been 75 years of building a legacy and rewarding you. This time, it's bigger. Save small and win a share of 200 million naira. The UBA Legacy promo is here to make it happen. Save 5,000 naira and watch the money rain. 75 customers will win 1 million naira. 75 customers 500,000 naira. 75 customers 250,000 naira. 75 customers 100,000 naira. And lots more. It's a win-win. Dial *919*20# to open a savings, bumper, next gen or kiddies and teens account and start saving to qualify. Terms and conditions apply. UBA, Africa's global bank.
Hi, I'm Leo. Want to know more about me? Chat with me on Instagram, Facebook, WhatsApp, Apple Messages, and Google Business Chat. Search for UBA Chat Banking and always look out for the verified tick.
For trades that will last, you need the right structure. For a business that will work,